Good morning, afternoon. Good evening, good afternoon. I'm Matt.
I'm Josh.
And we're expecting to be hearing an I'm Tom right about now. But the third musketeer, man.
We're going to be calling him later. We're going to be calling him Tom. Tom's going to be our man with the batting line, picks, stats, favourites, ackies, as you like them.
Absolutely. So I'm just trying to monitor the light just behind me so it's not too bad. Yeah, we've got, as you know, MMA Split. We're here to break down all of the latest MMA events, news, fights, results, and everything else in the world of MMA and boxing as well.
Last card of the year for the UFC. Actually, might be the last card of the year for major MMA organisations. I can't think there's anything else on the books right now.
There's nothing I can think of off the top of my head, but it wouldn't be the biggest surprise if Ryzen or One aren't doing something.
Yeah, one championship, Christmas Day no less.
And right underneath,
Ryzen. New Year's Eve.
They love their 31st. Was it?
That's true.
Was that when we saw the Mayweather versus Takamura exhibition? Was that
a Ryzen undercard?
I think it might have been.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was New Year's Eve, but it was like a totally independent exhibition bout. It wasn't.
Oh, I know that wasn't an official fight, but I mean that it was.
I got a little excited there. I thought maybe that was a Ryzen one too. Yeah, no, that was New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve. I'm pretty sure PFL got fights on New Year's Eve last year, didn't they?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure their season concluded last New Year's Eve.
Yeah, if you're anything like me, you don't. I like going out. I like having a good time. But it's New Year's Eve. Everyone wants to have the best time. It's got to be the best night of the year. I don't like coming in with these expectations. I always bow out on New Year's Eve. It's having a good fight card for me. That's the right way to end the year.
Actually, it's a good question. What is your New Year's Eve plans this year? Because it's going to be impossible. I've been trying to think about this. I have Tom. So just to confirm, Tom, who is very much going to be the third member of the MMA Split podcast, our man behind the betting lines, who will be giving us all of the odds, that kind of side of the game, and bringing his own opinion and personality to the group.
Elusively from a distance.
Yeah, in his own way. He is also my flatmate, but he has been back home in Marbella, where his parents live, during the second wave and the first wave of this lockdown. And he was saying to me as we're coming back, like, man, we got to make sure that we go back before New Year's Eve so we can be in Barcelona for New Year's Eve. Because it's going to be sick. And I looked at him, I was like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, what do you mean it's going to be sick? He's just like, oh man, there'll be a big party. It's like, no, there won't. No, there won't. There's a curfew. You can't get
there's going to be parties. I've seen some videos circulating. People are partying right now, and not smart, not the right thing to be doing. But yeah, Tom's not wrong on that one. Okay. Would you say, like, your flatmate? He's his cousin. They're cousins. So
here's the thing. I know. I don't actually have. I was going to try and say, oh, I've got a lot of cousins. He is the only cousin I've got called Tom. But I know a lot of Toms. You'd be amazed.
My dad's got 50 first cousins.
What?
My dad's got 50 first cousins.
Fuck, I thought I was going to ground you with my number.
No, Irish Catholic, mate. Can't be beat.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Top trumps.
Fair enough.
You picked the wrong category.
To be honest, I don't actually know how many cousins I've got because the numbers changed recently. I've got 5 from my mum's brother, 2 from my mum's other brother, that's 7, and then 9 in total on my dad's side. 16 cousins.
You're letting me do it again. We're getting away from MMA. My bad. Do any of your cousins compete in any kind of combat sports?
They do not, know. Although Tom spends a lot of time telling people that he can beat them with the ultimate combination. He says that he can win any fight with his unbeatable combination. He refuses to ever fight to put this into practice. But
a responsible thing to do.
Which is a responsible thing to do. But it's also frustrating when you have somebody say, if I fought, I beat you all up with my unbeatable combination. But no, I'm never actually going to do anything to prove that theory's got anything.
Do you know what it is?
Yes, he told me. And I'm intrigued. I'm not going to lie.
Is it a secret? Is it like...
No, it's more
KFC chicken, Coca-Cola?
I'll tell you what it is. It's Coca-Cola, and here's why. You've got all of the ingredients written down, but it's actually not useful because the main ingredient, all of the stuff that actually matters in how it tastes and is Coca-Cola, is just under the description of flavorings. So it's a little bit like that with Tom's combination. It consists of a jab, a straight, a kick to the legs, and then the rear naked choke.
So now, I'm thinking like, yeah, because no one's ever counted a jab or a straight. No one's ever checked a kick.
Yeah. That's actually
then we skip some steps. I guess that's the secret. You don't set it up. You just do it.
I think his idea is that you kick, and then instead of sort of trying to ground yourself to land the kick, you really use the kick as a way to just sort of like swing yourself onto the back. At which point you then immediately...
because I was thinking he was doing all of this to the back of his opponent's head. Just jab straight to the back of the head, kick to the leg from behind, and then just jump on the back. Obviously, you attack him while he's still doing his walkout. Best time for that one.
I don't even think he means in a real fight. I think he just means like in a street fight. Like if somebody attacks him in the street, this is how he's going to get away. Is obviously there's flaws to this. You know, this is very much a one attacker strategy. You know what I mean? You're not going to do very well against two people attacking you at the same time.
I don't know if any of you have ever been in a street fight, but every street fight I've ever been in, it's not one person against one person. It's one person against 3 people, 4 people, or 5 people, because that's how humans do things.
Yeah. In fact, in your experience, have you ever seen anybody in their life with enough confidence to just walk around on their own picking fights?
I have seen one-on-one fights break out, but they're not random fights that, you know, someone slept with someone's girl.
Somebody wasn't attacked.
No. Yeah. If you're talking like, oh, how do I defend myself when a stranger like jumps upon me? The way you run away, that's the best self-defense strategy there is. Yeah. Every hard person I know, every smart or sane person I know that's been in a street fight will tell you the same thing. Whether or not they did it, everyone knows that's what we do. In a month and a half, or in a month and a bit, month and a week or 2, I'm going to be 190 or less for our fight. I'm not looking forward to that. But you know what? You know, Matt, hamstring's feeling good again.
Good to hear.
Flu's gone. So after Christmas, it's just hitting the roads, running up Montjuic every fucking day, and sneaking into Kate's gym, just working that heavy bag.
Yeah. Us both getting the flu really was a bit of an equalizer for your hamstring injury.
I couldn't train at that point anyway, so having the flu didn't really make too much of a difference. It's nice that it kind of coincided at the same time. Yeah, flu's gone, hamstring's feeling pretty good. Anything like a hammer, you always want to be a bit careful about it. Of course. I'm 34, I wasn't planning on pushing it that hard anyway.
Oh man, January's going to be fun. January's going to be fun. We can do some video. We'll be bringing you. So we will be bringing you on this channel regular videos and updates, tracking our progress and hyping our epic, much anticipated rematch. For viewers, just to inform you, me and Josh box at.
I forget it's a rematch sometimes.
Me and Josh box at an amateur level. Our first fight will be posted on the channel very shortly.
No, it won't. You can put the next one on. You know.
Do you not think it will serve as a good before and after?
You know,
like, look how terrible we were here. And look at how we've progressed.
I'm gonna stop you here, right? Because we haven't got too much in the way of what's coming up or news we want to hit upon today. We're just going to cover Vegas 17. But I think this would actually be a really good little teaser for the next episode. I think we should go through the whole backstory. We should get Elliot on.
That's a good idea.
We should get Elliot on for the next episode.
That's a really good idea.
That is a good idea. I'm a genius. Good looking and smart. Let's put that one in the next episode.
We'll edit that part out anyway.
You can leave it in. It's a teaser. It's sexy.
We'll jazz it up. Right, I think it's time we get on to last week's card. What do you say? Obviously, me and Josh both live in Spain, and watching a lot of these UFC cards live when they happen requires a huge amount of sacrifice to our time, weekend, and sleep.
It's true.
This card, and thank God for this, started at 10 o'clock, which made it very manageable. And once again, well, certainly you and I both ended up staying up and watching this
Yeah,
card.
I didn't know it started earlier. I missed the first 2 fights.
Okay, well, I did not miss the first 2 fights, and that was part of the problem. I thought
Smart, good looking, but poorly organized.
fight. So going back to the Giagos Minus fight, I didn't realize when I was watching the fight that he had taken it on short notice. And to be fair, I kind of marked him down on the fact that he did seem to get quite tired quite early on. And I just didn't think that Carlton Minus really offered anything more than anything else. It was just one of these slight.
Yeah, Carlton Minus does not have ground game. Something like Bisping was picking up on the end of the third. You know, this guy's not a power puncher. He's not going to finish him on the feet here. What he can really do is try and save face a little bit. A very, very uneventful kind of outing for Minus. Just big mark against his name. And at a time when we all know the UFC are making cuts, I wonder if that pressure plays on his mind a little bit. But you get a short notice replacement coming up for a regional promotion. Unfortunately, you are going to be expected to win that fight, if not put them away. And, you know, that might be it for Minus now.
Yeah. And just not, I don't know. We've had some really good. So I'll tell you what I think the problem is. For like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, we've had the opening fight on the prelims being one of the fights of the night. Yeah. And I felt like it's really started the card off and really, you know, at a very good pace and really kick-started the action. And this was just one of those just lower level guys, not quite at their best. Obviously, one.
Do you think this is why they put the card on at 10? Because
No,
for those of us that are a little slower, I didn't come in until third fight of the night, which was actually an absolute banger. Yeah,
third fight was good,
yeah,
and we'll get to a really great finish that's coming up as well. There's a reason for this. There's a couple of reasons. There's initially going to be 15 fights on this card, and we did have 3 fights get cancelled. I believe the Nate Landwehr fight got pulled, the Cole Roberson fight got pulled again, and there was one more. Bilal Muhammad got cancelled against Diego Lima, which was one of the fights that we were really excited about. So that was very frustrating. No, I think there was a few things going on. So it's the end of the college football season, and you're starting to have the big championship games. They have NFL games for the last few weeks now playing on Saturday nights as well. So I think they'd had, which game was it?
I'm not favouring a later start time for them.
No, because I believe I'll have to look.
They're competing against like a West Coast game.
They were competing against a primetime game that I still think actually ended up being played during the same points as the card. Actually,
yeah, you're right. I think they tried to use one of the college games as a lead-in. Backfired though, went to overtime. I remember
exactly.
When I joined the broadcast, they were still complaining that game hadn't finished.
I'll tell you which game it was. It was the Packers versus the Panthers was the late game, and Broncos versus Bills was the early game on Saturday.
Yeah, well, it might be the wrong year to wear it, but fly, Eagles, fly.
Well, I'll tell you what. Did you watch the game? Did you watch the game on Sunday?
I watched the Washington game, and then I just decided not to watch the Eagles game. I'm just going to watch it next week. We're going to play spoiler to the only team in the NFL to ever go full Voldemort, the Washington football team, those who must not be named. We're going to beat them next week.
I wasn't sure you were going there at first, and then you pulled it in. That was nice.
Yeah, fuck everyone that's in the NFC East except the Eagles. Cowboys suck. All fucking shit.
Well, the Cowboys.
Everybody hates the Chargers.
Everyone fucking hates the Cowboys.
God, Eli Manning's a pussy. Always was. Just so you know.
I'll say this: Jalen Hurts looks amazing.
Yeah,
he looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah, man.
He's the real deal.
You know, I did think though when you were like Wentz 2.0. Oh no, sorry, Vic 2.0. I was thinking about it. Like the Eagles actually have a fine tradition of this. Truly, Randall Cunningham 5.0. But then you got Cunningham, you got McNabb.
Well, to be fair, McNabb was more of I wouldn't say he was a running quarterback. I'd say he was a mobile quarterback. He didn't run forward. He ran to use.
Later on in his career, he scrambled, and which worked really well when we had T.O., the cancerous dickhead that he is. But early on in his career, he was a great running quarterback. He put up yardage. Jeff Garcia was another mobile quarterback, but certainly a good scrambler and got a lot of yardage for us. And now Jalen Hurts, or Michael Vick, and now Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. No,
which is good because we've got lots of great tight ends. So, why use them?
Also, from the sounds of things, it looks like you're going to be able to trade Wentz to the Colts. It looks like they're going to be looking for a young quarterback. He worked with Frank Reich during his college days. So there's hope for you guys. We got to talk about this if we're touching on the NFL, because this is the story. As far as I'm concerned, I think this is the sports story of the weekend in any sport across the world.
Greg Hardy.
Number one, we'll get to Greg Hardy, but it's NFL related. The New York Jets have had a hell of a season. They have been 0-13. Every single game they have lost, in quite spectacular fashion. They are a fan base that have had 50 years of misery, and they hate their coach. They hate the way the team's playing. It's quite spectacular how bad they've been. And the one hope that Jets fans got about 6 weeks ago is they realized that they're on track to lose every game of the season. And if they do that, they will have the number one draft pick in the year where the most talented quarterback to come out of university in America since Andrew Luck is going to be entering the draft. A man by the name of Trevor Lawrence. And this one fact has consolidated and consoled the Jets fans throughout the whole season. And they've wanted to lose. They've realized that if they just keep losing every single game, they are going to be able to get rid of the coach. They're going to be able to get the player of their dreams in who can turn everything around. And not just that, a player who is so good that he will be able to attract a top-level coach to a team like the Jets. It was a draft pick that not just saved their fortunes on the field, it saved their fortunes off the field. Gave them an opportunity to completely turn their chances around. And during this run, 13 games, now 14 games in, they came close to winning. They blew it a few times almost. They were leading by 4 points against the Raiders. And the only reason they lost that game was because they decided to all-out blitz when the Raiders were on their own 25-yard line with 4 seconds left on the clock. And
I remember that.
And
I only watch Eagles games, but there are certain plays that come into my peripheral vision. That was one of them.
Derek Carr just throws it over the top. And what's even better is that they left a rookie undrafted cornerback to cover the Raiders' fastest wide receiver. A decision that ended up getting the defensive coach fired 20 minutes afterwards. But there was still hope for the fans. They know that the team were trying to win. Those players are playing for their jobs. None of those guys are ever going to get a job again if they go 0-16.
You don't know. Beyond the squads, there's a lot of practice squads, and these practice squads get filled up with people that don't really get paid but really want to work hard. And now there's always room there.
Throughout all of this, it's worth mentioning that the reason they have to lose every single game to get Trevor Lawrence is that the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are the second worst team in the division, have won one game and will definitely lose every single game remaining. And because of strength of schedule, if the Jaguars and the Jets finish on the same record of wins and losses, it would be the Jaguars that get the number one pick because they have had the easiest schedule. In walks the LA Rams on Sunday. At home, contenders for the Super Bowl, one of the best teams in the league, and the Jets had just been smashed 40-3 by the Seahawks the game before. Nobody could see it coming. Even the Jets couldn't see it coming. And the Jets fans had to watch in horror as their team, out of nowhere, produced the performance of the season and beat the Rams comfortably. I was watching my dad, who's a massive Jets fan, was texting me as if he was a Rams fan, infuriated with why Jared Goff, the Rams quarterback, can't get his shit together. Why is the Rams running game not working today?
I know why Jared Goff can't get shit together.
Because he's a shit quarterback.
He's not very good.
Yeah, he really is. This was the game that showed it. So, poor Jets fans have had 13 weeks of misery that they've only been able to tolerate on the basis that it was going to lead to the promised land. And because their players decided to get it together for 1 week, they have now won a game that not only has taken that pick away from them, and they will not get it back. The Jaguars will not lose, will lose their last 2 games. But even better, the Jaguars have the Rams draft picks as well, which means that the Rams are competing with the Seahawks, and the Jets have got the Seahawks #1 and #2 pick. So not only have they given themselves the #2 pick and then the #1 pick, but they've actually lowered the draft order of their pick from the Seahawks, as well as increased the pick.
That's right. So they haven't got their first round pick.
The Jets have got
the Rams have got the Jets like second or third round pick or something.
Like not even that. They traded for so the Rams have got the Jaguars. Sorry, the Jaguars have got the Rams first and second round picks. The Jets have got the Seahawks first and second round picks. It was trades for Jalen Ramsey and for Jamal.
Right. So the Rams just
so the Rams just went higher up.
Won the lottery.
The Rams just went higher up in the draft for the Jaguars. It was just an absolute destructive horror of a result.
You know what, though, right, Tom? We're going to call you in a sec, but you're going to have to watch this all back. Tom, we've talked about, I think, one fight in maybe an hour. It's your fault. You weren't here.
I'm going to be honest, partly because I know that we can edit stuff down, and partly because there is only really the card to talk about and a bit of news. I'm just kind of keeping it a little bit more freeform.
Oh, no, we're leaving this in. No, we're leaving this in. This is all good stuff. This is great stuff. Yeah. This is a sports podcast. You didn't find us looking for an MMA podcast.
Even though we're called the MMA Split.
You found us because I came up to you with a gun to your head. To get your phone out, I need to Google something. So it's fine. It's fine. We're going to get the views how we get the views. Aggressive marketing. But Tom, what the fuck, man? You're not here. This is why this happened. Elliot's probably going to watch this back because he's going to be on next week. And he's going to be like, Tom, what the fuck? Why'd you do that?
Also, is this really effort at this point? We're basically doing exactly what we were doing before we switched the camera on.
Yes. No. Before we switched the camera on, all we were talking about was MMA. And then we switched the camera on.
And we suddenly switched across everything.
All right. Okay. Look, what else is worth talking about in the NFL, Ryan?
In the NFL?
Because I only care about the Eagles.
Okay. I'll tell you what, little note to ourselves. We should give ourselves a little NFL breakdown for the next couple of weeks as well on our podcasts.
And until Tom gets his shit together, I'm going to give you a little AFC Bournemouth breakdown.
Yeah. I'm not going to give you an Arsenal FC breakdown because the breakdown of Arsenal FC is that Arsenal FC is breaking down.
You're going to be okay, right? This season's a bit of a write-off. You're not going down or anything like that. And honestly, I don't know if Mikel Arteta is the guy that's going to take you to the next level. I love him as a person. I do like him as a manager. You're not in the worst situation in the world.
Let's break this into segments.
Derby.
Let's quickly finish NFL. Then we'll do AFC Bournemouth and the Arsenal disaster. And then we'll move on to MMA. So, other than the Jets
disaster, that's what you thought we were going to do as well. Yeah. They saw it coming. It's an MMA podcast.
Well, what can I say? I like a lot of American sports now as well. Even the basketball I'm trying to get into.
That starts up again this week.
Yeah.
Is it tomorrow? I think it's tomorrow. It starts back up again.
I think it's tomorrow.
I'm not going to say what day it is today in case I'm wrong. I'll mug myself off. But
it could be tomorrow. It could be today. It could have been yesterday. It could be 4 years in the future and you stumble onto this podcast because the YouTube algorithm is very strange.
Nah, they wouldn't not have the season for 4 years. It definitely starts
tomorrow. Yeah, main news for the NFL was Kansas. Well, I'll quickly go through. Kansas City beating New Orleans Saints.
Kansas City won. Yeah, out of town.
Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, 13-1 now.
And he really
injured, not quite 100%. Drew Brees and lowered the Saints' chances of finishing number one.
This is an Andy Reid era jersey, so I'm going to claim that it's kind of like being an Eagles victory. I feel like, he cut his teeth at Green Bay, but he really made himself a man, truly, in the NFL at the Eagles. So now any Super Bowl he wins, that's really like an Eagles Super Bowl. We got two, in the last 2 years. That's pretty fucking cool.
So yeah, the Eagles cemented their spot as the number one seed for the AFC with another convincing win. Good back and forth, but at the end of the day, they didn't have enough for the Saints, who had brought Drew Brees back into the starting lineup 5 weeks after puncturing his lung and breaking 10 ribs. And it was pretty obvious he was not at 100%.
Yeah. The NFL. I don't know if you've seen the Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah. We've discussed this before, but that's a very revealing documentary.
Yeah, and I mean, I've known a lot of this stuff from different little bits here and there, and there's a lot that the NFL really try to cover up when it comes to concussions and player safety, but that one's obscene. And if you watch the Aaron Hernandez documentary, there's there's recordings between him and Mike Pence, phone calls that they've recorded where they talk a lot about taking like pain medication, playing hurt, being forced to play hurt. The NFL really is a meat grinder. And the thing, MMA for so long, I burped as I talked. We're not going to edit that out. It's really just Tom's fault. MMA got called human cockfighting. The NFL has been doing this for years. Look at the college system.
Yeah.
American football is hands down the most dangerous sport for head injuries. More dangerous than boxing, any other kind of combat sport, MMA, doesn't matter. It's right at the top of the list. And you have players in college that are forced into an amateur status where they put their lives on the line, their future health on the line. And, they get into all kinds of trouble just for accepting money from sort of boosters and donors. It's a really dirty system.
I'm not a huge fan of the college system. I think people should get paid if they're on TV.
Well, there should be insurances in place at the very minimum.
It's a brutal sport, and fair play to Drew Brees at 41 years old. The guy is an absolute warrior, but lost out to the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, we talked about the Jets. Probably the least popular win any team's ever had in the NFL from a fan perspective. There isn't a single Jets fan that's happy right now. I've never seen. They're calling it the worst loss in history, the worst win in history.
It really might be. I mean, it's definitely up there.
Rich Eisen, who's a Jets fan and has a great NFL podcast.
Rich Eisen's the man.
Always does these brilliant breakdowns of the weekend. And
dream guests.
I'd love to get Rich Eisen.
The guy has known Jay Glazer for so long. There's no way he's not an MMA fan.
Oh yeah. And also, I've actually, believe this or not, after this Jets game, I sent him a DM because I said to him, I was like, "Hey, listen, you're called Rich. My dad's called Rich. You're both Jets fans, and my dad supports the Wolves. You support the Michigan Wolverines. So, just wanted to say that was unlucky, man."
Did he get back to you?
No, of course not. But
okay, so Tom has better DM stories.
He has a way better. I'm going to wait for Tom to be on before we discuss his DM stories. Apparently, he's pissed off with the person in question because he never responded to him.
Tom's angry every time he gets anywhere near those DMs.
I know.
People that should have their internet access restricted.
Tom is one of these people.
Hall of Fame. Yeah, absolutely.
He's had aggressive responses before from fighters.
For good reason. For good fucking reason.
I can't wait for Tom to be on next week. He says he is going to be on once he's back.
We're going to do a segment today where we're going to try and call him. He's not going to pick up. But next week, he actually cornered you in our first fight.
He did.
So he's going to be an important part of next week's episode. Don't mind me. Just literally.
Slipping that teaser in there.
All right, look, I'm just going to quickly slip in. AFC Bournemouth, still second in the league. Having dropped down to the Championship, which is the second tier of professional football. I was a little worried. We lost Eddie Howe, our talismanic manager. Jason Tyndall was assistant manager for years, and his former teammate just slotted straight in. We're doing really good. I was thinking consolidate this year. Finish mid-table. Don't have a bad year. Don't be near the bottom. And, just keep building. We've got David Brooks back from injury. Stanislas back from injury. We need to offload Josh King. The crazy thing this season is Dominic Golanke has finally arrived. It only took 2 fucking years, but here he is. He's actually playing football for AFC Bournemouth now. That's pretty fucking cool.
Do you think that doesn't have some little something to do with the fact that this is the year that he's dropped? down into the Championship?
No, not at all. Because last year it wasn't like he didn't have opportunities. It wasn't like he wasn't in the position to make a difference. He just couldn't do it. Now he's executing. You like the goals don't get smaller. The goalies get a little better. The defenders get a little better. But the truth is, what was so frustrating about him all of this time is that he was actually in positions. And if he wasn't in position, it wasn't because he was being marked well. It was just because he was like playing like a madman, just doing nothing at all in the middle of the park, making no difference to anybody. But now he's really switched on. I really think it's the vacuum left by Callum Wilson leaving, and Josh King being injured or sick with COVID or just desperate to leave. So apparently, as soon as you pile enough pressure on Solanke and you give him free rein in front of goal and you say, you're our guy, he's going to work his nuts off. He's going to get assists. He's going to get goals. He's going to make a fucking difference. I'm a big fan now. Let's keep this train running.
Only worry I'd have with Solanke, listen, it's very possible he's a young guy. Sometimes you just need to get regular football and get used to scoring goals, and then you can start building in and progressing through the levels and moving back up.
That wasn't the problem. Just dog shit, just pure dog shit all this time until now. Big fan though.
This is my worry with Solanke though. I remember when he was at Liverpool and he went out on a couple of loans to championship teams and scored a lot of goals, but then could never do it when he came back to Liverpool and was given chances in the main team.
Because when he came back, he wasn't the man. He's like 5th on the list, 6th. He's very low down on the pecking order. When he does come on, he's expected to score a goal every 3 minutes. He makes a substitution appearance. It's just it's not the same. I have a good eye for these things when it comes to Bournemouth players. And apart from Takalo Ranti, who up until when he got injured, I really thought was going to turn a corner and justify the price tag. I've never really been wrong about Bournemouth player. I've been wrong about other teams constantly, always wrong most of the time. When it comes to Bournemouth, though, I don't know. When it's your team, you know. And Golanke's here. Golanke's going to take us back to the Premier League, and Golanke's then going to score 8 to 10 goals a season, and we're going to do okay. We're going to stay up, but we do need to get some better players into that point. We're not going to rely on him when we get back up for sure.
Yeah.
But he's going to be fine. I just feel like he's going to be a Bournemouth player for another 4 or 5 seasons. Just, we'll sign another contract. We'll have him for a bit, and he'll be a bit of a legend.
I think it'd be good to get you guys back into the Premier League. I like Bournemouth. I think everyone kind of likes Bournemouth,
Oh, yeah. Also, by the way, the other thing is, if you play for Bournemouth and you're a striker, you don't need to score goals. Our favourite player over is Stephen Fletcher. Not very good at scoring goals. We didn't care. He's fucking huge. Great guy. I played in the same five-a-side league as him for a little bit after he retired.
Oh,
I was just feel like I don't really get awestruck by celebrities. I don't really get like that whole kind of like fame bug thing. But and every time I've met a Bournemouth player, I freaked out a little bit. Plus, one time Harry Redknapp came into the shop I was working at when I was a kid. I kept jumping up and down on the spot, and he walked in, took his sunglasses off, stared me down for half a second, and then walked the fuck off. Didn't go well.
Takes no shit.
I was jumping up and down a lot. It was very weird.
I've had the joy of English football beaten out of me this season. One, I don't know about you, and maybe it's a little bit different because obviously last season was really rough for you guys, and this season has been good.
I only watch Bournemouth, so every year's kind of been different. It's just
I've become like this with Arsenal, man. I used to watch pretty much most of the big games, football games. That was.
Hang on. Did you stop watching Match of the Day when Alan Hansen left?
It wasn't when he left, but I've stopped watching Match of the Day since I've lived in Spain. I've really stopped watching Match of the Day, or at least I definitely stopped watching it at all when they did the restart of last season after the lockdown.
I can tell I stopped watching after Alan Hansen left. There's still some great pundits on there, but it's just Alan Hansen was the man.
I'm just not following as much football in general, though.
I'm
still watching Arsenal, even though it's fucking horrible. I mean, we were so bad against Everton on the weekend.
But I've only ever watched Bournemouth. He has no idea what he's talking about. You haven't been there on Tuesday nights watching the Johnson's Pain Trophy being like, no, it's a pretty big game for us.
But it's okay. Everything's about expectation. Okay, if you buy, I don't know, if you buy a Lamborghini, you have expectations. Even if that Lamborghini gets a little old, it's not quite the same Lamborghini that it used to be. You still believe that this is something that should be able to perform.
No, it's not. It's like you've married someone. You're like, when you marry someone, you have expectations. Your wife's a Lamborghini. She lets it go.
Bournemouth
you should beat her and divorce her.
Bournemouth was like a children's tricycle that somebody put an engine on, and then they put some chrome wheels on the side.
You're not in about 6 weeks on me taking your fucking head off. Yeah?
They built this. They took this.
Just fuel on the fire, man.
They took this little nothing. And they
built it. Fuel on the fucking fire, my friend.
They built it. You know.
Your team are getting relegated this year. Did you know that?
What were you saying? Like 5.
The only good thing about your club is Mikel Arteta. Fucking waste, man.
We might sack him as well.
Well, he's too good for you. You should.
I've had a nerve.
Scum.
I've had a nerve. All of that was meant to be a compliment. I was saying you were a smaller club.
Wait. That was a compliment. That was a compliment. I'm starting to see why you haven't got a girlfriend, man.
Well, there's
that was a compliment. That was a compliment. He walks up to him like, "Oi, you long-haired fat fuck. Guess on my dick now. You're not worthy." That's a compliment. That's a compliment.
So I was trying to say that your team, which started off much smaller and less resourced.
We can edit this out. Everything bad you said about Bournemouth, we're editing now. That's gone. It's all gone. Gone. No.
Okay. How would you? What car would Bournemouth be if it was a car?
It would be like a Bugatti if a Bugatti ran with the fuel efficiency of a Japanese car. Don't talk, Matt. Don't ruin that. That's exactly what it is.
I'm speechless.
Good.
I'm without speech.
Stay that way. Stay that way.
What about
no?
Isn't something like a Morris Minor more appropriate?
I will fucking make you eat every last piece of your face.
What about a Peugeot 206? What about a Vauxhall Astra?
I had a Vauxhall Astra. That was my first car. Honestly, mate, I had accidents in that you'd never know. You could drive through a building, just be like, was the building okay? Like, what a fucking tank. If a Vauxhall Astra was as fast as a Bugatti with the fuel efficiency of a Japanese car, then yes, your sly, shitty, shady little comment is halfway accurate. 1/3 accurate. Yes.
1/3 accurate, okay.
Yeah. Moving on.
Just to round up final things on the NFL. The Patriots will not be playing the playoffs this year for the first time since 2008. And for the first time since Belichick took the job, they will not have a winning season. They lost to the Dolphins on the weekend and are currently 6-8. Can only finish 8-8.
I want to have some pat with you about Belichick. I'm so upset about what you said about them. So.
You'll get over it because your team's in second and mine's getting relegated. The facts of those situations will pick your spirits up. Yeah, see, I know how to turn things around. Plus, I want to talk about Belichick. I don't think
Belichick might not just be the best cheat of all time, but might be the best professional sports mind of all time. The guy is on another level.
Yeah, he's had 8 of his players opt out this year because of COVID. Lost the quarterback that he had to get in last minute with no off season, no training camp, no time to look at the playbook. He was just coming off a catastrophic injury, then got COVID during the season. They've got no weapons, and he's still got 6 wins. Lost a lot of these games by a hair as well, tiny little fractions.
That's good enough for top of the NFC East. So best division in the league. So that's a very good performance.
FYI, it is now guaranteed that the winner of the NFC East will the NFC East, where the Eagles are home, will not have a winning record.
Give a fuck. He's been a cunt today. Next week we're going to talk about the fight, and I'm going to get my revenge. So that's cool. We're not going to upload the video.
Oh, of the first fight. Oh, come on. You look better in that than I do.
I took that fight in 3 days' notice.
Your technique looks better. You get tired. You got tired. That's the only thing. I'm not, and that's not me being a dick. That's just being honest. I'm saying your technique looks better.
I was 4 days removed from having a week-long binge of acid, cocaine, and well, I can't really binge weed or alcohol because it's kind of what I do anyway. But like, I threw a ton of acid and cocaine into that week. I was having a very good time. And then Elliot, we're going to go into it next week. By the way, I don't know what kind of adult material you can and can't say on YouTube. You know, I'm 34. I barely use the internet. Don't do drugs. I'm not endorsing drugs. I'm just saying
that's what he did.
Doesn't make you better at boxing. You know.
In fact, if anything, if we do end up uploading the video of the first fight, you can watch that whole fight as basically a poster as why not to do drugs.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
We just point out as well. I want Bournemouth to get promoted. Like, I just want to clarify this. I like Bournemouth. Like 5 minutes ago, I'm saying I like Bournemouth as a football club. I just can't accept you describing it as a Bugatti with the fuel efficiency of a Japanese car.
You need to wait for me to forgive you. Don't try and force it. Just
you need to have more realistic comparisons of your football team.
Sorry, how many times have you seen Bournemouth play? You're not an expert on it. I am.
No, but I've seen a Bugatti drive, and I've never seen a Bugatti drive and gone Bournemouth.
Such a posh wanker. I've never seen a Bugatti drive. I've just seen one in a museum one time. I just know what it is. No, that's it. You know.
What do you mean I have a Bugatti?
It's fucking tough. That felt good. I enjoyed that. All right.
Well, what I think would be a good move is let's move on to the fights because we don't seem to fall out with each other when we talk about fights.
I'm sorry, I didn't shit talk over the thing you've loved the longest in your life. Why would you do that?
Oh, fine.
Matt, let's take an ad break and not do drugs for a second.
That's a great idea. The more you know. And we are back after a fantastic word from our sponsors.
Big fans of
your product,
the sponsors.
You guys are doing a great job, product, service, or distribution, whatever is the thing. But let's get on to MMA after that absolutely awful segue that I'm going to work on as we get better at this. We've covered some NFL, we've talked some football. We need to get to the MMA. I think we kind of just start everything from the beginning with the MMA. I don't know about you. I kind of want to run this. Do you want to run this down up or top down?
All right, look, because I know how we work. If we go top down, it's going to be a lot faster.
Well, also, let's save the best. You know, let's give people the main events and the main card. Because I do think
actually was pretty fucking.
The main card was excellent. It really was.
Wonderboy rolling back the years.
Where else to start? The main event, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson defeating on unanimous decision, 50-45 across all judges' scorecards. Jeff Neal, hands of steel.
Yeah. I mean, I actually gave Neal the last round. It was close, but what a great fight. What was insane about this fight is that as the fight went on, bar the fourth round, Wonderboy's output actually just kept going up and up and up and up. It dropped a little in the fourth and then just straight back up in the fifth. The fifth was the most action-packed round, which was crazy for a fight that went at this pace for as long as it went.
Yeah. And little disclaimer, because we're about to say a lot of really nice things about Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. We're also about to tell you how big of fans of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson we are.
Didn't pick him.
And yeah, we didn't pick him. In fact, we didn't just not pick him. We kind of went out of our way to basically not just say that we didn't think he was going to win the fight, but I think we said that he was too old, didn't have enough fights. I think you said he's chinny.
Yeah, I did say that.
Yeah.
Look, it's a smaller octagon. And honestly, we stayed up for this one. I'm texting you as he's walking out and I'm like, you know what, it just occurred to me. Wonderboy might be the most lethal counter striker of all time. I would put him above Anderson Silva. The smaller octagon's not going to work against him. This is going to work in his favor. I think I picked wrong. As he's walking out, we're both talking about how we got our pick.
I'm responding to you saying, one, I don't know why I picked Jeff. I don't want him to win. I want Wonderboy to win. I'm literally
Tenacious D rolls.
I'm singing.
My heart soars.
I'm singing Wonderboy. What is the secret of your power?
Seeing him hopping in his little South Carolina hop.
I didn't want him to lose. I don't know.
Words.
Do you know what? I picked my head over my heart. And do you know what the issue was? It was last week. UFC 256 was a whole example of the veteran experienced fighter getting brutally destroyed. Brutally destroyed.
In entertaining ways.
In entertaining ways by the young up-and-coming guy. And that influenced all of my picks, as we're about to see. Because I did not have a great week.
Pick well.
I did not pick well. And it started with...
I won. But it doesn't really feel like I won, you know.
Well, we both picked Jeff Neal.
Yeah, we did.
And, you know, I'll say this. I thought Jeff Neal, the guy almost died from congestive heart failure 3 months ago.
Yeah. Tough guy. Like,
there was a bad headbutt in the second round.
Right at the end of the first. Right at the end of the first round. Yeah, right at the end of the first round. Like as I'm typing my notes as I go, and I've already like next line, round 2, and then the headbutt happens, and I'm like, that was stupid. Yeah, bad clash of heads. First thing Stephen Thompson does is check on Jeff Neal.
Yeah,
that's who he is.
There was a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I don't think Jeff Neal appreciated it. I think it was in the 4th round. Well, Thompson tags him. He's like, "You all right?" Jeff Neal's like, "Don't."
Can we just point out it is frustrating if you have a round in an MMA fight where you land more high fives than punches in a round. You know, that's going to eat away at you. That's going to eat away at you. And to be honest, I'm almost starting to think that this might be part of the. He's the nicest guy in the world. Don't get me wrong. But I think he kind of uses it a little bit. I think he doesn't just confuse you and trick you with the movements and the counter striking.
Well, Michael Bisping claims Anderson Silva is notorious for the same thing. Maybe this is creating that half-second hesitation or delay. Like, do I want to hit this guy that hard? You know, that would work in a counter striker's favor.
Well, it's creating you. It's like you're building a relationship. You're having a conversation, a dialogue when you're fighting, and when you sort of behave in a certain way, you just disarm people. Maybe you take the aggression away a little bit, or at the very least, maybe you perform best when you feel less at risk, and maybe that sort of brings the best out of yourself. But it's
maybe he's just a sneaky prick. Because for a man that wants to demonstrate so much open concern, after that clash of heads, Stephen Thompson is gashed kind of on the inside of his eye here.
Doesn't even blink.
It's not bleeding too bad, though. So, obviously, it's not a good injury. You get some blood in your eye. But Jeff Neal, on the other hand, his is much more on the outside. And you would think
he's got the eyebrow, he's got the separation of the eyebrow drooping down.
But out of the 2 injuries, I would have expected Thompson's to kind of be a bit worse. But Neal's was bleeding a lot more. And for a guy that wants to feign concern for Jeff Neal so frequently throughout the fight, Wonderboy sure did tag him on that right eye an awful lot after that cut got opened up.
Listen, he's a competitor. He's a competitor.
I'm not complaining. But yeah, Jeff Neal's eye was a big red mess. I mean, from the second round onwards, it just looked like a squib had gone off on that side of his face. I don't know. He came out after the fight and said he really couldn't see much after the first round.
I'm not surprised.
And it really did look that way. And against the guy as fast, as instinctive, and as accurate as Wonderboy, that's a death sentence.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw.
I'll say this as well, because, you know, pre-fight in the, you know, pre-fight scrum and the fighter meetings that they do with the media, you know, Jeff Neal was saying that he felt that the mistake everybody makes with Wonderboy is that they spend too long trying to figure him out. And his goal was to basically try and go in there and apply pressure immediately. And I think what he found is that there's a reason why guys fall into this trap. Because it's, you know, it's the same thing that Israel Adesanya did to Paulo Costa. The guy's not just standing there not doing anything because he thinks that that's a good decision. You just get caught in this trap of movement and feints and, you know, counterpointing and second guessing your decisions. And it's just that split second of hesitation of not being sure what to do. All of a sudden, that's when Stephen Thompson's landing that straight down the middle.
Yeah. And he doesn't just land it accurately every time, but he lands it as you're stepping onto it. It's a horrible punch to eat. But it really did take Jeff Neal 4 rounds to figure out what was going on with Wonderboy. The 5th round was a close round. The 4th round was when he first started kind of building a bit of momentum and kind of getting back into the fight. Because he had a few flurries. He tagged Wonderboy a couple of times earlier on in the fight, but never really mounted much. And definitely lost the first 4 rounds, probably all 5. But
well, bear in mind, Stephen Thompson had what looked like a pretty bad knee injury as well.
He had 3 knees. He had 3 knees.
He couldn't put weight on. And I think a lot of the reasons why you see Jeff Neal have the success at the end of the 4th round and into the 5th round, I think is a lot you have to contribute to the lack of movement due to the compromised knee from Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Yeah, definitely. I would say though, even with the 3rd knee, he was still flying, gliding around. Like his movement is compromised, but he is still moving.
But the guy's a worry.
Yeah,
the guy's a worry.
Both guys real tough. Biggest thing that I took away from this fight is these guys are both tough as hell.
Yeah, but Jeff Neal needs he needs more time. He's not quite there yet.
No,
I felt that.
Well, Wonderboy's a tough fight for anybody. That's not a good good litmus test.
So I think what you've got with Jeff Neal is I think you've got a guy. You look at the Muay Thai; it's very technically proficient. There's not a lot of looping punches. There's not a lot of wasted movement. His guard is pretty good. You know, he's got a little bit of wrestling in him. We've seen a little bit of wrestling. I know he's got 1 submission on his record, but I think that's the side of his game that he needs to start working on, because I think what we found is that he's been good enough with his striking to go through a lot of the competition that he's gone at up until this point. But now that he's hit this kind of wall in the form of these top level fighters like Wonderboy, particularly on the feet, you never felt like he was going to be able to take the fight to the ground. You never felt like he was really threatening with any of that.
Well, he couldn't close distance. And I remember at the start of the first round, he bags Wonderboy up to the fence and then he sort of resets. He can't cut an angle and he's like too frustrated. He walks all the way back to the other side of the octagon and then starts hunting down again from the middle. And I'm like, to what end? Wait, what are you getting from that? Well, and then as soon as he gets Wonderboy to the cage, Wonderboy just starts tagging him. And I'm like, yeah, that's what he was trying to avoid.
Look at the Woodley. I think Woodley gave everyone the best example of how you can approach a Wonderboy fight. And particularly in the first Woodley fight, he lands 3 massive overhands on Wonderboy Thompson in the 4th round. One of the reasons he's able to do that is because of the fact that he was mixing in, he had the threat of the wrestling. So when he lands those overhands, he lands them because of the fact that he's got Wonderboy thinking he might be going for a takedown, which is what he'd established in the 1st round and controlled Wonderboy from there. The problem with Jeff Neal is I think he never really had that threat in the locker. And so he was never going to be able to utilize that to maybe open up some opportunities on the feet or change the position of the fight. You know, that's maybe where you have to sort of start thinking about trying to just press him. I know he did try to press him against the fence, but, you know, clinching, you know, doing it, that ground game can really alter the perception of the fight against a guy like Wonderboy.
Yeah, there are guys that I think of kind of being maybe not the flashiest or the best MMA fighters, but kind of more like the sort of modern MMA prototypical fighter, the guys that can like mix it with an all-round game with a lot of wrestling and clinch work, you know, Bilal Muhammad, Court McGee. You know, their striking might not be the crispest, the most technical, but the way they mix it in is really good. Sort of the best examples of this ever would kind of be GSP, Robert Whittaker. And then you've got other guys that would take a very extreme style, kind of be like a bit of a one-trick pony and then build everything else around it. Like Ryan Hall has a fantastic ground game and a good Minari roll and a leg lock game. So now he started working on a lot of spin kicks, heel kicks. I talk about Ryan Hall all the time because I love him almost as much as I love Paul Craig, but not quite. I had to say Paul Craig once.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of future for Jeff Neal. It just, those other sides of the game need to be ironed out. And he's got time. And I think there's a lot of people, even in the top 10, that I think he could compete and do very well against.
You know, I'd like to see him fight.
Go for it.
Michael Chiesa.
I was thinking exactly the same thing.
Get out.
I was thinking exactly the same thing.
We don't talk about that. We don't prepare as much as you might think we do.
I can guarantee you we will be more prepared in the future. We are not prepared for today. This is just like finished last week's card, talk about some other sport, what's going on.
That was half true.
Well, yeah, half from my side. You have notes.
Yeah, I'm the more prepared one, but I'm like, we're never going to be really prepared.
No.
My opinion, we'll never be truly prepared. he was right when he said, you know, we're winging it today, but we're never going to prepare more in the future. I have notes. Those are the side.
I feel that, you know,
it's not porn down there. That's nice. That's why I'm like, you know,
there might be porn. There might be porn. He's got word on.
Near side.
I'm not seeing what's on Chrome.
And then far backstage, right? It's
in our magical studio.
Yeah, this is actually my work computer, so you know, it'd be unwise to get Pornhub up on that. But we could do that on your laptop later.
Yeah, we could do it on my phone. We could do it on a whole variety of devices that aren't work related.
Cut to ad break. I'm kidding. There's no sponsors.
No. Manscaped are not getting back to me.
Look, all right. Jeff Neal, Michael Chiesa, that would be another strike clash of styles for Neal, but actually quite a good test. If you want to prove yourself a top 10 guy, you need to be the Michael Chiesas of the world. And for Michael Chiesa, who looks a beast at 170, was a good contender at 155, but looks a legit fucking beast at 170 because he didn't just step up; he put on a lot of muscle.
Yeah,
he looked big at 155. Weirdly, he steps up to 170, looks huge at 170.
Yeah,
like he's not.
It looks like he's filled out.
He's one of the bigger guys at 170. He was a big guy at 155, one of the bigger guys. He is still one of the bigger guys at 170. That would be a cool fight.
He's filled out his frame. You know, you look at him back at the Ultimate Fighter, he was a bit wiry. And now
did he change camps? Or is he still with Sick Jitsu in Washington?
I think he's still with the same camp. I think he's still doing his thing.
I don't like to talk
he's
shit
using the PI.
About camps.
He's using the PI a lot
though. That's something. That's something. I don't like to talk shit about camps, but that camp has some great fighters. And I just feel like they need to add some more in terms of kind of infrastructure and coaching because they're almost like Militich fighting systems, but kind of with less oversight and leadership. Just, I think it's a huge mistake. I think it's a car crash waiting to happen. I don't understand how you get fighters like Sam Sicilia, Juliana Pena, Michael Chiesa out of such a shoddy approach. It just it baffles me.
Well, listen, I don't actually know a lot about that particular gym. I know obviously those fighters. I don't know a lot of the coaches there. I don't know a lot of the stories
actually,
about them.
Kind of like the founder. I'm trying to remember his name. Lyle. Oh man, we don't prepare. There's a very, very good MMA documentary that everybody should check out. With like Jake Shields in it and Sick Jitsu in it, and I'm just mixing every MMA documentary.
Let's go back to talking about Chiesa. The only thing I'd say that makes me think it's not a good matchup is Chiesa's had to do a couple of these fights against.
I didn't cut him off when he was talking about it.
I don't know that I can't offer anything. I don't know the gym very well. I don't know the guys, and I haven't seen the documentary. So you're looking at me for answers that I can't give you.
I'm kidding.
You have the floor. Go on. Tell us about this documentary you can't remember with the guy that his name you can't remember.
Touche.
Chiesa's looking to fight a higher ranked guy, and I think he's earned it. Jeff Neal's coming in 11. His rank might drop. Chiesa's what, 8?
Okay, so no. So here's the problem with the welterweight division. Well, not the problem. Here's what's beautiful about the welterweight division. Okay, because when you start thinking like, who should Stephen Thompson fight next? Well, he called out Jorge Masvidal for the rematch. He wants the nicest motherfucker against the baddest motherfucker. Of course, he called it the NMF against the BMF because he can't use cuss words because he's the NMF. Doesn't feel right saying that. He's a beast. He is like the most violent man in the welterweight division. I love this guy. You know, every time he kicks you, has to check that you're feeling okay. It baffles me, but whatever. He's calling out Jorge Masvidal, but Jorge Masvidal, I'm pretty sure, is going to get the Colby Covington fight next. The huge ATT grudge match, which we need to see. I can't justify putting Stephen Thompson in that fight instead. Just can't do it. And talking about Florida grudge matches, then you've got Usman Burns, another little like domestic brewing. I don't know if Usman is still with Henry Hooft like long term, because obviously he did his last camp with Trevor
Trained a bit
Whitman.
with Trevor and Gaethje.
So he did his last camp with Trevor Whitman because obviously couldn't train with Burns.
I'm assuming he's going to do the same thing.
Yeah, and it's going to be 2 fights in a row because even though he fought Masvidal last, he was supposed to fight Burns. Burns got COVID, so in steps Jorge Masvidal. Obviously, everyone knows what happened after that. So it's going to be, I assume, 2 camps in a row with Whitman. You know, does Usman go back to Hoof afterwards? We don't know. But either way, that's how the title picture's shaping out.
I don't see any reason he doesn't go back.
Yeah, me either, honestly. But we don't know. What's important?
17 or 18-1? 17-1, 18-1?
Yeah.
You don't go 17, 18-1 with your gym and decide you need to switch things up.
I mean, no disrespect to Henry Hoof, but Trevor Whitman, for me, is the coach at the moment. So,
yeah,
you know, if you're going to get poached by someone, that's where you want to get poached.
I know, but I don't see that happening. I think something tells me Usman is one of those guys that remembers who gets him to the dance.
He is a classy guy. Either way, right? Who does want to buy fight next? There's no one above him that he can fight right now. They're all booked. It's in principle. And why would he reach below him? You know, he's had 2 title shots and not got it. He's 37. Okay, Woodley's out of the picture now. He doesn't have to worry about justifying trilogy fight.
He's got one advantage though, and this is one of the things where maybe they don't match Masvidal and Thompson up. People love these guys. There's no doubt that Masvidal is not. He is the bigger star than Stephen Thompson, 100%.
Cuban Street Jesus.
But they're both great personalities. They're both guys that, you know, to use an old WWE pro wrestling term, you know, they'd both be the baby face to a certain extent.
Although, did you catch Stephen Thompson pronouncing it George?
I did.
George Masvidal.
Jorge.
I'm going to fire him up. I'll piss me off.
It's not even spelt George. I don't know why people make that mistake.
I don't know. We live in Spain.
It makes more sense to us.
No one here gets more right.
Yeah. Stephen Thompson is the quintessential babyface, and Masvidal is the guy that should be the heel, but everybody loves him. If you put those guys together, somebody's going to lose.
He just has a great
in
action.
their mid-30s, and you're going to lose the hype on one of those guys. In a division where you've got a dominant champion who lacks one important thing. Charisma and personality. So the most important thing if you want to get bums and seats is to either have guys that have a feud or a rivalry with him or guys that bring charisma and personality. That's Masvidal and Stephen Thompson. Even with Colby, I don't really think they like Colby that much, which is why I think the Masvidal-Colby fight does happen.
I honestly, I worry Colby never fights. Well, I don't worry, but I'm thinking, I have these suspicions that Colby never fights again. You know, he's out of ATT now. He's, in my opinion, proven himself to be a mentally fragile person, an emotionally weak person. I don't see him bouncing back from this. His whole idea of stand up his own gym.
He destroyed Tyron Woodley, man. I know that's not the same impressive feat that it once was. But you can't take away what he does. To fight against
I don't think he fights Usman again.
It's a hair between the two of them.
Yes, it's a hair, which is a fracture line in Covington's jaw. That's what it is.
That's what I said. It's a hairline fracture between them.
I heard hair, and I was just like, he's talking sideways out his ass.
It was a close fight. Usman had the power, but you could see it's not like you looked at them and went, that's different planets.
No, it was a close fight for a while. It was a close fight, but a clear fight in my mind to Usman. And then when Usman could really get his hands on him, it just wasn't a fight anymore.
Usman pulled him out in the 5th round when he needed to. But there was, up until he started landing the damaging shots that put him down, there was 2.5 minutes of that 5th round, which was Colby Covington on volume. And this was, and I'm saying he's a really good fighter.
No, he can be, but he's a guy that needs to be winning. And I just don't see him being able to get back into the same headspace where he believes in himself that much that he's going to get back into the octagon.
What I'll say is telling is this. Covington is meant to fight Woodley, apparently, about 8 or 9 different times. And Ben Askren offered some insights before they fought back in September on this particular note. believing that Colby Covington, actually before UFC 251, if you recall, Masvidal and Colby were the guys putting their names forward saying, we'll take the fight on 5 days' notice after Gilbert Burns pulled out.
Yeah.
And Askren gave a press conference saying, Masvidal's telling the truth, Colby's lying. And when they asked him why, he said, because I know this guy, he's not going to take a fight unless he would think that he's got every possible advantage. And he's not got that kind of just fighting mentality. And I'll give you the example. I know for a fact that there was 5 different occasions when Woodley was the champ that Woodley had signed the contract. I'd seen it with my own eyes, signed contract to fight Covington, and he didn't sign the contract. And then he only ends up taking the fight after, doesn't take the fight against Tyron Woodley earlier in the year when it ends up being Woodley versus Gilbert Burns. But then as soon as he sees the Burns fight, immediately then is willing to take the fight.
Is that like common knowledge or site or source?
That is official from Ben Askren, and you can see from the negotiations that he jumps onto taking the fight after he sees Burns beat Woodley. And one could argue that you're looking at it a couple of months earlier and thinking, I don't know which Woodley it is going to be. Maybe I don't want to take that fight in case it's dangerous.
I think we all kind of knew that, like, it's not a secret that his hands are fucked. They're these brittle, misshapen little mitts now. The guy has so much going on. He has his podcast. He has his music career. Obviously, he might not be like knocking it out of the park with all of that, but the guy's making money. The guy's making money in a much safer way than he ever has before in his life. I really liked Robbie Lawler as a champion, and when Tyron Woodley took off of him, I was like, okay, I'm impressed. I never really rated Tyron Woodley in his championship reign. I don't hate on him like a lot of people do, and I don't think the Wonder Boy fights were as bad as everyone pretends they are.
First fight's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. It's, you know, it's the problem was there have been so many. Lawler had 2 really good championship defenses, which were like all-time classics, and then gets starched in the first round by Woodley. So it's kind of like 3 great welterweight title fights in a row.
4, 5, because the Lawler versus Hendricks fight 2 was really good, and the first Lawler versus Hendricks, where Hendricks got the decision,
True,
vacant belt, was an outstanding fight.
True, but Hendricks, it was like a change momentum when Lawler took over as champion. This was a division that was always trying to find its feet after GSP left. So you kind of go through these very small kind of snapshot eras. And I think leading up to Woodley, like, yeah, you can keep going back, and then you can go back in GSP's reign. So this was always like a division that delivered. In terms of title fights, you know, BJ
Go back to
Matt Hughes, like, yeah, even like the Matt Serra, like people say Matt Serra was like probably the weakest on paper champion. No, bullshit. Matt Serra, great fucking champion, great fucking win, beat a great fucking guy. Yeah, of course he caught him. Just, you know, fluky. Yeah, sure, but great guy.
He took his opportunity.
Yeah, and he got in there, and he didn't do it in an easy way. He went through the tough house to do it, which is not. And that season particularly wasn't an easy season, but the welterweight division had always been maybe not a marquee division, but for me, like going back and loving the sport and watching these fights, fucking great division. And then Tyron Woodley kind of gets this reputation for having absolute sleepers, and then he has the unfortunate duty of fighting Damian Maia when Damian Maia is on fire. Damian Maia is going through 3 5-round decisions without taking any punches at all, keeping like strikes absorbed within single digits. You know, not an exciting guy. How do you fight this guy? No one had figured out how to beat Damian Maia at welterweight until Tyron Woodley did it by just constantly running away and stuffing takedowns, which is what he had to do.
And then just landing the odd jab and hit just to make sure that you're accumulating the round of points.
Yeah. So Tyron Woodley was a guy that I liked and rated as a fighter until he became champion. But it was unfortunate. It was what it was.
I think he had a very unlucky reign, partly due to his own blame. But look at what happens. He becomes the champ. Immediately he says, I don't want to fight Stephen Thompson. And he says, I want a money fight. I want to fight Nick Diaz, and start saying, right, if you want to have the title shot, Tyron Woodley, you're going to fight Robbie Lawler. And if Robbie Lawler wins, he gets the rematch because I just beat him. And I think just Tyron Woodley didn't quite realize that he's an MMA champion, not a boxing champion.
Yeah, he rubbed the UFC up the wrong way, no doubt. Dana White, not a fan.
So you get the first Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight, which he takes begrudgingly, and it's an amazing fight.
Damian Maya, cage side, knowing that he's going to fight the winner.
But it's a draw. And even though it's a great fight, draws
Damian's
are
not
always,
getting any younger at this point.
not to mention whether or not people think you won the fight, it's still a draw as a title defense on your record. So it's like, okay, you're not overly popular, you're rubbing the UFC the wrong way. You start off with a draw, you then beat Wonderboy, but it's a dull fight, and then you get the Maya fight. People will forgive one, you did what you had to do, one at some points. If it's two in a row, you start setting a narrative, and then it's too unenjoyable to watch title defenses after a draw. Injuries, layoffs, not fighting very often.
So at this point, his body's shot. His hands in particular. Majiman Paulie Malignaggi has better hands, if I'm honest. He now has to fight this young, hungry crop coming up. They've been stuck behind this logjam for so long. Now you've got your Kamaru Usman, your Colby Covington's coming up. And they're running through this guy, Damian Maya. You kind of started setting the blueprint to beat, but you didn't do it in a very exciting fashion. You know, now he's getting beat handedly. Now he's getting finished. Now your win is aging very badly. And they're like, go fight these guys. And you're not physically ready, but you want to snatch back your legacy. You want to prove to people you're still relevant. My heart goes out to T-Wood.
Like, you know what, though? I'll say this, his last successful title defense was his best title defense. He got it all back for one last great hurrah against Darren Till.
Yeah, I'd almost forgotten the Till fight. Oh my God. Here's the problem though, right? Because God hates me and I love British fighters. Darren Till has to suffer. That's bullshit.
But I'm just saying, isn't it, in terms of bookending your career, it starts off rough, but you get this last great hurrah against Darren Till. And the sad part is that, let's say he'd ended up having a great performance against Usman and defends the belt, and then has a great fight against Covington and defends the belt. Once you get a few of those really great, exciting performances in, people forget about the couple of dull title defenses that weren't exciting. It's like Israel Adesanya. When he fights Romero, everyone's shitting on him for about 4 months. As soon as you get the
I think fight, most of us blamed Romero for that one, though.
A lot of people blame Dizzy Man.
It's easy to hate the guy that won, but no one was ignoring the guy that just stood like this in the middle of the fucking octagon, just like this, doing nothing but this.
I get you. But it still is a stinker on your name.
Yeah.
That's his name. But it's forgiven very quickly if you get good performances.
Wait, when's the last time anyone criticised Francis Ngannou or Derek Lewis? I remember that.
Doesn't happen.
You remember that fight? I think we watched that fight together.
No, I've never watched that fight. And do you know why? It is the only fight that you cannot see on Fight Pass.
They took off.
They don't have it on Fight Pass.
Yeah. Really?
I can't find it.
I can't believe that.
There's a few moments that are taken off Fight Pass, one of which is something that we're going to bring out in next week's episodes when we touch on best and worst walkouts.
Oh, or teasers. Oh, well, yeah. On a lot of the fights, they take the walkout music out.
They do, but they buried one very much in particular. You can barely find this. There's a YouTube video that still exists, but
does it make you go?
It's Tom Lawler's walkout for UFC 100.
Oh, who let the dogs out?
Who let the dogs out?
Tom. Filthy Tom Lawler for a reason.
Yeah.
Some nicknames are just create. People just build them. They try and snatch it out of nothing. They're like, that's my name now. Some are earned. Some you're born into. BJ Penn. Baby JD Penn. That's where that comes from. He was the baby in the family. Some though. Some were just predestined. Some were ordained. There are prophecies. I'm pretty sure there's some shit back in like the Bible or the Torah or something, or like the Quran, just like, and Tom was filthy. Lawler was his clan.
Judging from the success of his career, I don't think any gods of any religion ever gave his name that much thought. But I'll tell you what.
Put him on the wish list though for guests.
Listen, right. We're starting off. Everyone is on the wish list.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Right.
Oh,
he's one standards. Name one other person that knocked out someone in the tough house and didn't get kicked out for it.
Outside of knocking them out in the octagon.
No. In the house, Tom Lawler. I can't remember. It was the season they had that dickhead Junie in it. So it was like middleweights and lightweights, and one of the lightweights gets really shit-faced drunk with Tom Lawler, and they're in like the bathroom talking into the camera, and he's like, "No one can knock me out, bro. No one can knock me. You can't knock me out. No matter how hard you hit me, you can't knock me out." And like, he's like saying to Tom Lawler, like, incessantly for 2 or 3 minutes, drunkenly going, and Tom Lawler's very drunk at this point, going, "Hit me. Honestly, hit me, because you won't be able to knock me out. So hit me, you can't knock me out, because it's impossible. You can't knock me out." Tom Lawler, lazy, just straight right across his own body like this, knocks the fucker out. Funny as fuck. I love it. Great moment. Tough classic.
It's quite funny.
It's pretty fucking funny.
Listen, I'd take Tom Lawler. And I'm not saying I'd take anyone on the podcast, but are you saying at this point right now that if we had a professional MMA fighter phone us up and say, "I want to be on the podcast," that you go, sorry, mate?
No, probably not. Because honestly, like Kate's like kind of halfway set something up for us, but we're just not ready for it. Like we've gone like a little bit lower than like a professional MMA athlete. We're gonna bring it in when Tom gets his shit together.
Yeah,
fucking Tom, dickhead.
It's all Tom's fault.
Prick.
It's always Tom's fault.
9 out of 10 times. 9 out of 10 times, Tom.
He's not Harrison.
It's even worse.
He showers more than Harrison.
Well, he shits the bed more often, so
that's true.
That's why that
Harrison actually shows up.
Yeah.
Very disappointing.
From what I understand, Harrison's getting into shape. Tom's not.
Well, we'll see.
Tom can't even find a place to take a phone call, allegedly.
Apparently. Didn't have time. It's too much effort.
Hey, look. Before we go back on topic, because I sense that's where you're going. You're going to go, "Josh, let's get back on topic." And we're ready to do that. And I'm not going to wait until we get to the Pettis fight. I want to ask you something, Matt.
Oh, we can jump around the card for specific ones.
Well, no, we're not even doing that. We're just going Anthony Pettis for half a second.
I was going to keep it on the vets and go Aldo and then Pettis. We can jump.
Yeah, why not? But because we're not going to. Because when Pettis is walking out, they brought up a little stat. They said Pettis is one of 13 fighters
on the last fight of their contract
that have wins in 3 different weight divisions in the UFC. Now, I could only get to 9.5, including Pettis.
9.5.
Yeah, I could only get to 9.5.
9.5. How did you get to 9.5?
Anthony Rumble Johnson does not count because he never made weight for middleweight. He may have won fights technically scheduled for middleweight. The guy made 170 sometimes. When he stepped up to 185, he was like, "Oh, I overshot. I can't do it." He never made weight at middleweight. So he has wins at light heavyweight and wins at welterweight because he just loves being a frustrating statistical anomaly. But I was worrying that they might count. So if you want to count welterweight, catch weight, and light heavyweight,
Rumble Johnson. Okay.
You can count Rumble Johnson. 9.5. I got to 9.5.
We'll say so. Anthony Johnson.
Wait. Let me get my list up.
Anthony Pettis. Kenny Florian.
Stop, because I need to get the list up.
Okay.
This isn't as quick as you are. This is
okay.
I mean, you can see the picture quality. You can hear the audio quality. We're not working on sophisticated rigs right here. What we have got is Josh's laptop from work, and actually Matt's got a nice laptop, but we ain't got microphones and whatnot or lighting. Oh wait, you can't see the list. Cheating prick.
Do they have to have fought in all of these weight classes in the UFC?
All these wins are in the UFC.
Oh,
so
fuck.
13 fighters allegedly have 3 wins in 3 different weight classes Now, okay, sorry. So we've got
Diego Sanchez.
you got Kenny Florian, you got Anthony Pettis,
Yeah,
and we don't have Anthony Rumble Johnson,
but he's your 9.5. Yeah, I get you. So Kenny Florian, I've said already.
Yep. Wait. Name the weight classes though as well.
Okay, Kenny Florian, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight.
True.
Anthony Pettis, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight.
Interestingly, Kenny Florian also fought a middleweight in the UFC.
4. Motherfucker, that guy's crazy.
You can't remember when?
No.
Because the guy's on the list.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Let me just say Anthony Pettis, Kenny Florian, Rumble Johnson, Jared Cannonier.
Yep.
Conor McGregor.
Yep. Wait. Weight classes, please. Cannonier.
Cannonier, heavyweight, light heavyweight, middleweight. Conor McGregor.
That's so impressive.
Yeah, I know. It's
because
crazy.
the guy's naturally a middleweight.
Yeah. It's across 85 pounds of weight allowance.
Yeah, I think the heaviest guy that he beat at heavyweight weighed in at 245.
That's insane. Watch out for Cannonier. Conor McGregor, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight. I think that's probably going to be the pattern that we see across a lot of these.
Yeah, he calls welterweight cocaine weight. That's just his given weight
now. Apparently, he's looking ridiculous in the gym. He's looking really good for his upcoming fight. Okay, let me think about this. See, now it gets really tricky. Now it gets really, really tricky.
Do you know what? I think I only got 8.5 because I'm pretty
Edgar.
sure I had Pettis twice.
Frankie Edgar.
Yep.
Very recently accomplished that. Man, this is not easy. This is not easy. BJ Penn?
No.
BJ
Penn never won at featherweight. He lost every fight at featherweight. I know that because I looked that up today because I had to check because I thought BJ Penn must be in there if there's 13. There can't be 13. They must have fucked that stat up.
This is so difficult.
If you're counting Zuffer organizations, I still don't think you can get past the 8.5 that I've got.
Diego Sanchez.
Yeah. Who beat Kenny Florian at middleweight.
Now
so interestingly, Diego Sanchez also never won at featherweight. His third weight class that he won in was middleweight. And yes, it was against Kenny Florian, but it was Kenny Florian, like near prime Kenny Florian. Like this was the tough one finale.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about Griffin Bonner. Everybody forgets about Sanchez Florian. It wasn't a lights out fight that the light heavies.
Andrade.
Hell yeah, Andrade.
Andrade.
I'm kind of pissed that you haven't got any that aren't on my list yet because I really wanted to try and get to 13.
Damn. But the problem is it's really tricky to think.
Hang on, you're only missing one off my list.
Okay, put it in the comment section if anybody watches. 13 fighters, wins in 3 weight classes.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think you meant to put my last one in the comment section.
We can do that now.
I scrolled a few forums to try and figure out the answers to this. People don't respond to this question. Everyone responds with, "Oh well, yeah, Dan Henderson won all these." Not in the fucking UFC, you dumb fuck. UFC. Was it in the UFC? I'm not asking about MMA. I'm not being elitist. It's just this is the stat that the UFC threw out. I want to disprove it. Please don't talk to me about Pride or Strikeforce. And I don't think WEC actually even brought into the conversation. But you're missing a big one.
A big one.
Yep. His first middleweight win was against Bisping.
I didn't think that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
What else did he fight in apart from welterweight and?
If I tell you that the guy fought a heavyweight and light heavyweight.
Oh, Dan Henderson.
No.
That's because he didn't fight at heavyweight.
Doesn't listen.
Oh, in his first middleweight fight. I mean, my gut's saying
Vitor Belfort.
Vitor Belfort, of course.
Heavyweight, light heavyweight, and
middleweight. Yeah. I thought you were going Kelvin Gastelum there. I was like, there is no way that Kelvin Gastelum ever attempted 155 pounds. Just no way.
When you said Kelvin Gastelum, I assumed you were going to talk about 205, not 55.
So, because you point out Dan Henderson, heavyweight, light heavyweight, middleweight in his career, just not all in the UFC.
Be the last emperor.
Fedor.
I don't want to say Fedor because I know it's when I saw like
Fyodor or something.
Yeah.
Fyodor. It's like it's not Petr Yan, it's Piotr Yan.
We should really rename the podcast Fuck MMA because we always do it a little tipsy, a little stoned. That's us at our best. Maybe that should be a little bit more our shtick.
I don't know, man. I think that we're going to make this gold with a couple of edits.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
We went a little off topic at the beginning, but I think the MMA section's been pretty tight.
Matt, come back to it. 8.5. I'm missing 4.5.
It's really hard to
I spent a lot of time this morning trying to work on this, Matt. I can't get any more than that.
Oh, man.
I don't know who I'm missing out. The only thing I can think is that they're including catchweight bouts, which don't count.
That doesn't count.
Or there might be a few that the other fighter missed weight, so it might not technically count. I'm not sure. I have no idea where they're getting these other numbers from. I can't think of another fighter that has won across that many divisions.
My understanding is it's such a difficult accomplishment to make that there just couldn't be 30.
Look, as far as I'm aware, Kenny Florian and Diego Sanchez have fought across the most divisions from 185 to 145.
But not in the UFC, really, Bustamante.
I don't think so. I don't think anyone else. I mean, if you look across MMA careers, maybe the 13.5 is a more accurate number. Maybe they just fucked up the stat.
Is there a guy who tried flyweight and went?
Like the only other one I thought might come close was like Uriah Faber, but actually in the UFC he's pretty much only fought at bantamweight. So, like, there's a lot of guys and women. There's not that many women, but there are some women that have fought across.
James Krause has fought at 3, but he didn't win his fight against middleweight.
Has he won at lightweight in the UFC?
Lightweight.
Well,
that'd
be a cool one.
Question.
Again, James Krause is another kind of dream guest.
Yeah, James Krause would be a really interesting guy to have on. I'm amazed for his age how well he runs his own gym.
I'm amazed that the guy has a legit fucking career. He's not I don't know, the only other person I can think that kind of comes close, and he's going to be about the most annoying person in the world, is Misha Tate's ex-boyfriend / ex
Brian Calloway.
Brian Calloway, who, you know, maybe the victim of being a very honest guy, but just kind of came across in the tough house as super annoying, whiny, superficial, vain, and then pretty much spent the rest of his UFC career doing the same. The only real kind of good and interesting thing I've ever kind of got out of Brian Calloway is his kind of input into how Sean Shelby used to work in the, I don't think it was in the antitrust lawsuit, maybe just when they were like doing the Twitter hashtag like Shelby stories, but definitely gave a lot of insight into kind of like how the UFC used to kind of, well, probably to this day, sort of strong arms people. I definitely feel like there's a change in the air, and fighters are definitely getting a lot more power back, especially as they're looking to kind of lower the salaries on the products that they file through like Contender Series and Ultimate Fire. But UFC definitely built their organization in a certain way, and it was very profitable and effective, and that's why we have MMA on the scale that we have today. If the UFC didn't exist, I wouldn't be a fan. I wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
You know, it was previously branded very heavily as cage fighting, and people would like say something like, "Oh yeah, cage fighting." I'd be like, "I don't want to watch that. It sounds barbaric." And you like actually check it out, and it's a real sport, a real chess match, really technically interesting, amazing, fascinating sport that is constantly evolving. You know, you have to give the UFC a lot of credit, but certainly some shady practices going on. That's really all Brian Calloway's ever given me as an MMA fan. Do not like.
I get what you're saying.
Or as a coach.
There's only one thing I know for sure. He did not have 3 wins in 3 different weight classes in the UFC.
Brian Caraway hasn't had 3 wins across the whole of his life.
He's not winning now.
I'm glad Misha left him. She could do a lot better.
Is he the one actual professional fighter that you wouldn't have on the podcast?
Michelle Baeda.
You don't want Michelle Pereira?
I don't like him.
Oh man, we're going to get to him in a sec, but I want to talk about Jose Aldo now.
Oh shit, I didn't mean Adam on the line. I ain't doing that. I ain't taking that call. Yeah, Jose Aldo, man. Vintage Aldo.
So, just to say, we spent a very long time talking about Wonderboy and the Jeff Neal that descended into a whole conversation of trying to work out who's had 3 wins in 3 weight classes.
Pretty sure it's a 2-hour episode. We talked about 2 fights so far.
Well, that's what happens when it's...
Fuck you, Tom.
Fuck you, Tom. Yeah. Fuck you, Christmas as well. I blame Christmas. But Jose Aldo did not blame anyone for his loss against Petr Yan. He's back. He clearly believes that he can win at bantamweight, and he was phenomenal.
Apparently, rub-on tattoos make a difference. Get a little rub-on tattoo.
Yeah, that was a little strange. I haven't seen that since Sam Alvey. His name should never be brought up. And to be fair, it was a much more convincing fake tattoo than Sam Alvey's was. And I have seen boxers do it in the past.
All right, but
Aldo was fantastic.
Vintage Aldo
Against a dangerous opponent who could not deal with those body shots. What were you saying about last week about you love your body shots?
I fucking love body shots, man. Well, I will say this though, Chito was in that fight all the way up until he didn't get finished in the 3rd round. This is the 5-round fight. I want to see it, you know. Chito would not go away. I gave Chito the 2nd round. Vintage Aldo. This was a great fight. For me, I don't see this as a loss for Chito and proof that he doesn't belong in the top 5. I see this as a loss for Chito, but on some level, vindication. This guy belongs at this level. I want to see this guy continue to fight the top challengers. Chito is a beast. Aldo is a legend. Aldo put on a great performance, edged the 1st, dropped the 2nd, and just took no nonsense in the 3rd. Just took Chito down, locked up that body triangle, and that was it.
Is that the most impressive demonstration of offensive jiu-jitsu you've seen from Aldo in the octagon?
Yeah, without question. I think that might be the first demonstration of jiu-jitsu I've seen from Aldo in the octagon.
Jiu-jitsu. Because obviously he's been in defensive positions.
I know. I've seen him kind of like keep guard around people, but I haven't. Did he fire off any submission attempts from the back against Yan?
No. He tried to go for like a weird leg lock that failed miserably in the 1st round.
Against Holloway, I remember him just being on his back eating punches. I don't remember ever seeing really Aldo being in a position to demonstrate any jiu-jitsu, either because he is probably one of the best strikers to ever do it at 45 and is now looking at a legit challenger at 35, or if it's just because when he does get taken down, he's in such a bad position. But for me, this is the first time that I've been like, I've heard this guy is a strong black belt. I've never seen it. This weekend, that was the first time that I'm like, yeah, no, Aldo's no joke. The way he hooks the triangle on the inside, and then Chito's just trying to take the arm around from the other side because that's where he's trying to lock up the choke. Everything's just constantly working in Aldo's favor. There's no small mistakes he's making. And even at the end, the best Chito can do is get it towards the cage, frame off, separate a little bit, land a few pointless punches just to, you're fighting in there. It's what you're going to do up until the final buzzer. Throw everything you can. That last elbow he threw, that was cheeky. That was right on the buzzer. And Aldo's face just after it landed was like, I've won, but that really took the shine off it.
Yeah. I got a lot of admiration for Aldo. I really do. I thought it was just those little differences. We talked about, the veteran against the up-and-comer. And, things like knowing how to work the body and picking up on mistakes. Like, Chito's, he's a very classic, Chito's guard was all wrong. He was covering up and blocking his own sight and leaving the body too easily exposed. But he'll learn from that experience. And to be fair, it's not like you can prepare to be taken down and controlled, to have control on the ground for 5 minutes as an expectation when you're preparing to fight Jose Aldo.
He did defend the positions well,
very well,
you know, relative to what's going on. And the other thing I say is he couldn't get his low kicks up. The leg kicks, Aldo's just checking them. You have to start setting that kick up with some boxing or something when the guy's in a Muay Thai stance. You're going to have to accept that you need to eat some shots to chew up his leg, because he's just prepared for that kick coming blind. Like, if you throw it naked, like, it doesn't matter. He's halfway there.
I was kind of interested to see how that battle would go on, because Aldo's known as an excellent leg kicker, but he is very specifically of the slightly old school thigh kick coming just above the knee. And I was kind of curious to see
another reason for that is how long his legs are. He can actually make that reach like at a greater distance than people that are just looking for like a calf kick on the lead leg.
I was curious to see how his thigh kicks were going to match up against Chito Vera's calf kicks. And what was interesting is that whether or not it's a different kick, in terms of defense, you know, Aldo knew how to deal with that kick. He knew how to check.
Yeah.
Much better than Chito Vera. And he was able to set his kicks up much better than Chito was.
Absolutely.
So fast. I can't believe he stopped kicking for like 4 years.
Yeah, that was painful.
But a great win and a real vindication win. I'll say this. Do you think they gave him the title shot too soon? Do you think now that you see he seemed to be a bit more comfortable?
No, because I really feel like that's the win that kind of that's kind of made Yota Yan who he is. You know, without the Aldo win, it's just another champ. You know, it's just the next guy after Cejudo retires. But you know, being Aldo the way he did, being Aldo a legend who he is, and one of the most dominant champs in the weight class above. For me, I feel like Aldo now, you know, he's going to get this TJ fight, we assume.
I hope so.
Him and Rob Font both were angling for that fight after their wins, but obviously that's going to go to Aldo. That's the bigger money fight. I feel like he wins that fight. He's going to get the winner of Yan Aljo.
We got to see. A lot depends. TJ's return sparks a lot of questions, and I think my opinion would be stronger in favor of Aldo if it wasn't for the fact that the last time I saw a guy come back after 2 years out, although for very different reasons, in Ortega, he was a completely different fighter.
Yeah.
And that is on my mind. It's certainly making me want to reserve judgment on what I think of TJ until I've seen him back. That first fight, I can't tell you what's going to happen. I can't tell you which side of the pendulum.
All right. So let me ask this one. If he doesn't fight TJ next, if he fights, say, Sandhagen.
I think Sandhagen's fighting for Frankie.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I had Frankie as my pick for like Rob Font's next fight. I thought that'd be cool.
I think Rob
Yeah,
Font,
no, of course he is. Of course he is. He's fighting Frankie.
I think Rob Font should fight. He should fight somebody like Garbrandt.
Garbrandt's dropped down, hasn't he? I assume he's going to wait for that title shot at flyweight. I mean, he's kind of boxed out of the picture right now, but I don't know why he'd step back up to 35 because, you know, he was scheduled to fight for the title at 25. So in my mind, it makes sense to maybe fight like a guy like Royval or who else have you got at like flyweight?
Who's Toja, Askarov.
Yeah.
You still got Alex Perez.
Yeah, I don't know if they want to make him fight Perez after Perez comes off a loss. Maybe they want to try and build Perez's star again, and they like to match winners against winners, losers against losers.
Do you not think they should maybe just give him anybody? Like, just give him a fight.
Maybe like a bit of a tune-up fight. They've done that before for guys like Dominic Cruz coming back from injuries.
Not even a tune-up. Just before you fight for the belt, let's make sure that you can actually do this and look like a human.
Yeah, at the same time, though, I think flyweight division has got a lot of good guys in the wing. We haven't really seen the rankings shape out properly because some of them are slightly newer faces, some of them just having 4 common opponents. But I think Brandon Royval would be a really fun fight.
Royval would be fun, also coming off a loss, though.
Yeah, and that's the thing. With the dislocated shoulder, I'm like, that's an injury that's going to keep occurring from the situation it happened in.
Yeah.
I really love Royval. I really rate Royval. Royval's going to be the mercy of his injury for the rest of his career. That's my concern. You know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We're going to take an ad break.
We're going to take a quick ad break.
He's not a dog. It's just drugs.
Daddy needs his crack.
I don't want to talk much about Michelle, to be honest.
Okay, we are back.
Good ad break.
Fantastic ad break as always. I just
no
want to close up with the very quickly with the Aldo. So far, you picked Aldo. You stuck with your boy. I abandoned all of the heroes and all of the legends. I'm 0 for 2 at this point, and that moves us on to Michel Pereira versus Chaos Williams. I'm interested to hear what you think about this one because
yeah, Michel Pereira is a guy that I hate. I do not like him. I don't like his approach. I think his record is a reflection on how stupid he is as a human being. I do not doubt his athletic ability.
Doesn't have a bad record.
He doesn't have a good record. If you look at his record,
28 and 11.
You know, he puts a lot of losses in a row when he loses. You know, he really stinks him out when he goes on the street. But finally, fighting in the UFC as a normal human being, like as a normal person would approach a fight with some semblance of strategy and technique, thinking about efficiency of movement, not doing needless backflips, just fighting how you want him to fight. You know, he was really good, really elusive, and really dangerous. Fighting at distance, great with the in and out movement, the lateral movement as well. Just very hard to hit. Chaos Williams was winging at nothing for most of the fight. He did have a brief moment in the third round where he went back to just being a complete twat, bit of a garbage human being. And, you know, Chaos didn't even really tag him. He's kind of grazed him with a nice winged in right hook. Just usually throwing at nothing, but this time he was doing some kind of Irish jig. He gets caught a little bit and he just goes straight back to business. But, yeah, for me, I feel like this guy is mad as a box of frogs. After he wins, he calls out Anthony Pettis, who at this point hasn't, has won, but he's out of contract. Michel's saying he wants to fight him in 2 weeks' time. There's no card in 2 weeks. That's the date that doesn't exist. I just don't understand why he wants to fight Pettis at all. Pettis is literally just said he's going to go back down to the lightweight. Michel is more of a middleweight, if anything, and just all round insane person. I don't want to talk about him that much. I don't like him.
Did you think he actually won the fight?
I did give it to him, yes. Yeah.
I'm guessing you gave the first round to Chaos and then you gave him rounds 2 and 3.
I actually gave him all 3 rounds, but you know, I did admit some of these rounds were close, but I actually ended up giving Michel all 3 rounds in that fight.
I think what I thought is I thought he won rounds 2 and 3. I thought Chaos Williams landed a lot more than people gave him credit for. I don't think he got scored very well on the leg kicks. And I think this is one of those few fights where I don't necessarily think it was about the striking numbers. I think all of the other factors of MMA, the ring control, the ring generalship, really kind of swung it. You know, at all points, you constantly felt whether or not he was necessarily landing that much. And I didn't think Michel Pereira really actually utilized and exploited a lot of the holes that his movements and his feints were opening up. He didn't land as much as Chaos Williams in I think the first 2 rounds. But he was controlling everything. Everything was happening at his motion. And I think you could see that Chaos was very frustrated. I felt even when he was sort of swinging, you talk about like grazing punches and trying to capture these moments, he just became frustrated. And he's that, you know, you texted me beforehand saying, you know, his death stare is a thing of beauty or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I think he's that, you know.
It's Kalen, Chaos, Yogs Fire, Mean Mug, Screwface, Williams. I haven't got enough fingers.
Yeah. He's that guy that's, his mentality has got to be, I'm here to hurt and we're getting it on. And he came up against a guy whose mentality is essentially to enjoy himself a little bit, to fucking dance, to use his movement to open
Who
things
knows
up.
what goes through his head?
And
I don't think anything.
I just felt he just took Chaos out of his element a little bit. And I like Chaos a lot. I think there's a lot to like. I think he's got incredible power. I think technically, I thought he was probably, it's a little bit, there's no bells and whistles. It's not flashy.
Look,
But
he
he does
couldn't
all
deal
the
with the
basics
movement.
right.
He couldn't close the distance. He couldn't cut the angle. He couldn't pin him down.
And he
got
couldn't
outpointed.
handle the wrestling in the second and third round.
Yeah, for me, the third round, definitely the takedowns were what clinched that for Michelle.
Yeah, good takedowns.
For the first round, I felt it was more kind of like the control and being able to kind of dictate the fight a bit more.
Yeah.
I didn't really look at the striking stats for that one, but yeah, just I think Michelle knew Chaos is a heavy-handed guy. He has a lot of first round knockouts. He has a lot of first minute knockouts or 30-second knockouts. He finally showed an opponent some respect. And Michelle has fought a lot of very small guys at welterweight. Diego Sanchez used to be a welterweight. Not so much these days. Tristan Connolly is a lightweight that took that fight on short notice. And yeah, Michelle lost that fight, but he's not fighting the biggest guys. And now he comes up against the heavy-handed guy. He finally shows a bit of respect, a little bit of maturity in his performance. I don't know if we're necessarily going to see that carry over to the next fight. It really depends on who his opponent is. If he was fighting against a guy like Anthony Pettis, I feel like we're going to get more of a Yair Rodriguez against Cesares kind of fight. Just ridiculous, almost video game style kickboxing. Well, certainly from Michelle. Pettis doesn't play that kind of game. But being the smaller guy, I don't know that he can necessarily take it down and put his submission work into place. So if that's the kind of fight he wants next, it just sort of says to me, this is where that guy wants to go. Just back to the theatrics, the ridiculous approach. I don't think the guy's a legit contender. I don't think that this is a turning point for him. I don't think he's rounded the corner. I think he's put in one good performance here because he had to respect Chaos's power. And from here on out, it's going to go back to just being mad as fuck.
You don't see progression, improvement, fight to fight. A sign that he's starting to get things together. Think about his previous fights against...
I hate him a lot. That might cloud my judgment. I hate him. I really...
I think
everything that's wrong with sports wrapped up into one human being. He's probably the reason that FIFA is so corrupt. That I hate him.
Wow, we're going there. This is what I think. I think you've got the DNA of a potentially fantastic fighter there. I think if you look at the specific athleticism that he's able to show, the balance...
This is all part of the reason I hate him so much.
I'm aware of this. But there's a lot there that could be incredibly dangerous. And certainly in the last two fights, you're seeing him being much more measured, much more reserved, much more controlled. And listen, Chaos Williams is a dangerous guy. However you beat him, the fact that he beat him using some of the wrestling as well, I think he's showing himself to be more of a well-rounded fighter. You might not like him, but you will be seeing him.
Yeah.
Now, I know you don't like this guy.
Who do you want to see him fight next?
I don't want to see him fight Pettis. I think Pettis is... We'll get to Pettis very briefly. But I think Pettis
we will get to that. He's not fighting Pettis. So
yeah.
Who do you want to see him fight next?
Is he ranked at the moment?
No. And for good reason.
Okay. At welterweight or at middleweight?
Welterweight. Welterweight. He looks like a middleweight. He weighs in the octagon what most middleweights weigh, but he is technically a welterweight.
2 wins in a row. I would say maybe if you wanted to go lower down somebody unranked, somebody like maybe a Tom Breeze. If you wanted to go ranked,
Tom Breeze has actually gone up to middleweight.
Oh, he's gone up.
Yeah, he's been a middleweight for a little bit. And although he has flirted with going back down, he is, as I understand it, he is a middleweight now. The other thing is, I think Tom Breeze is probably a guy that is going to start transitioning more to coaching. He definitely seems to be like one of the leaders within that camp, and they got a lot of good fighters there.
I've got a
Oh, God. Yeah.
Nico Price.
Oh.
Seriously, both guys, they're just hovering outside of the outside of ranking. You put that fight together, the winner, you can maybe give the 15th slot to. Give them a Robbie Lawler or a Bilal Muhammad.
Yeah, because to be honest, Pettis is leaving those rankings, so there is a slot open.
Robbie Lawler is not long to stay in those rankings.
It's true, but generally that is a very good top 15. Damian Maia's probably leaving. Tyron Woodley's probably leaving, but outside of the guys, you know, that is a very solid top 15. Just to give you an idea, Hamza Kimyayev, however you might feel about people being overhyped, is currently ranked at number 15. From then on, it's just a lot of guys that I respect very deeply, and Colby Covington.
Yeah, there's fights. There's fights for both guys. There's fights for Chaos Williams. There's fights for Michel Pereira, and like you say, there's a lot of old names starting to come out of welterweight or move on, and there's a lot of room for some new blood. Let's move on because
this was a good fight.
This was a good fight, and this was
no.
It was a good fight.
This was a good fight.
It's a good fight.
This was two good performances. Yeah.
I mean, we talk about I felt there was a little bit of a theme in a big section of this card, which I felt was a tale of two halves, and I feel that this was a very good example of it. You had Marlon Moraes coming off. It's technically only a 1-fight skid, but most people are looking at it as a 3-fight skid after his loss to Sandhagen. Coming in effectively a bit of
I just want to go out there and say, by the way, that for the Moraes Aldo fight, I scored that for Magic Man. I think everyone else is stupid.
Most people didn't. But
they're very dumb.
What you could argue at the very least is, after going on a meteoric rise, a fantastic run of form, looking incredibly dangerous, even that win wasn't classic Marlon Moraes. You know, he gets finished by Corey Sandhagen not that long ago with a spinning wheel kick, and that's going to become
another great fight.
And that's going to become relevant that it wasn't that long ago, taking on Rob Font, who I think was ranked number 11.
Yeah, but a guy that suffered with having to take time out because of injuries. Rob Font is a guy that I've rated for a long time. Rob Font is a name that comes up a lot when people talk about Calvin Kattar and his success and that whole New England cartel. Rob Font is a guy I picked for this fight, and I love Marlon Moraes. I am a big Marlon Moraes fan. I just felt like Rob Font just finds a way to finish fights. I don't know if he's actually been finished in the UFC. I think all of his losses are decisions. But this guy, you know, he finishes fights. He's an exciting guy. He's tough as nails. And Marlon Moraes comes out on fire, really bringing it to Rob Font. And Rob Font finishes Marlon Moraes within 2 minutes. Within how quick was the finish in this one?
It wasn't long. I think it was a bit longer than 2 minutes because Marlon Moraes started fantastically. I mean, he used his wrestling. He took him down.
Yeah.
He was basically holding him in position.
Marlon Moraes was landing shots. Marlon Moraes had got 2 takedowns early on in the fight. Marlon Moraes is winning this fight handedly until Rob Font starts landing.
Yeah, the finish happened at 3 minutes and 47 seconds into the first round. So for most of the fight, Marlon Moraes is winning. But let me ask you this. This is why I thought it was a bit relevant, the speed at which Moraes came back into this fight.
To turn around from the knockout.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Knockout. He gets wobbled by
he gets dropped by a jab, effectively. You can call it a wobble. I saw it. It was a knockdown. That's what it was.
Or do you think maybe this? Do you think maybe he got knocked out in sparring? Because think about this. When have you ever seen Marlon Moraes go for a wrestling heavy approach to start a fight?
Yeah, so to answer both of those questions, and we have the same response. He recently moved down to ATT after working with Mark Henry for a long time. So he followed Barboza as Barboza came down with his kickboxing coach to ATT. I don't think ATT is a bad camp at all. It's a premier camp. It's one of the best fight gyms in the world for MMA, period. However, you're working with guys that you don't have the same familiarity with. So yeah, the sparring might be a little heavier. It might be harder. I'm not going to say it's more competitive, but in terms of how many competitive guys there are there, it's a lot deeper. He had world-class sparring partners in his old camp. You know, Eddie Alvarez, Zabit, Frankie Edgar, just amazing guys. But you move down to ATT, you're the new guy. They don't know you. You know, maybe you got caught a few times. I don't know. And the second thing is, I forgot the second thing. It's Tom's fault.
It's Tom's fault. But it's worrying. And I don't know, just the fact that he went for such a wrestling heavy approach makes me think maybe they knew that his chin wasn't going to hold.
That's the second thing. ATT. What are you going to learn at ATT? To wrestle.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. Of course. Wrestle heavy approach. Well, you know, if Mike Brown, who is a retired fighter, is whooping your ass in wrestling every fucking day, it's going to start playing on your mind. This is a very important way to fight in MMA. So effective, so easy, so demoralizing, so exhausting for the other guy. Yeah, that was the second thing. ATT, maybe the new sparring partners have knocked him about a little bit. Maybe it's a lack of familiarity, but also, for sure, he's going to be learning a lot more about wrestling because with Mark Henry, you've got no, we're gonna have to edit this now. I forgot the fucking dude's name.
I was just going to say the reason why I'm making some weird facial expressions. I had to have a rapid COVID test yesterday, which involved them shoving something that, I'm not joking, is literally maybe about that long inside of my nose and raping my brain. And it just is so uncomfortable still. And then I think about what happened and it sort of brings this kind of horror to my brain. The things you do for flights these days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'll say this about Rob Font. I thought he weathered the storm and he did what he had to do. Ricardo Almeida, yeah. And it's a fantastic win for him. That really propels him up. And it's a worry for Marlon Moraes now because he's not looked good in a few fights in a row now. And he needs to put that right. He needs to, whether or not it's a motivation issue, whether or not he's just been a bit unlucky.
I don't think that because he did come out, you know, gunning for it. He came out looking good, to be honest, until he got caught. I think the biggest thing is he needs to rest, let his brain heal, his chin heal as it is. You know, maybe not look until anything until like deep in the summer. Just take some time off, and by then the whole landscape will have changed.
Yeah,
and he's still a name, so he can just. I don't think he's not going to get cut. So let's just let him slot back in later on with an appropriate fight.
Yeah, I think we can agree on that. And that takes us to a fight that I'm just going to let you take the floor on this one because last week's podcast, you went hard on the paint in on Greg Hardy.
I don't like him either. I don't like a lot.
You basically guaranteed that he was never going to be on our podcast. That you guaranteed that. With
yeah, that's if there's one person like, hey, can I be on your podcast? No, no, bro.
By some accounts, a changed man, but not by Josh's standards, by any stretch of the imagination. And he was not a changed fighter.
Look, I'm going to let you take it. I'm going to let you
take this away. I'm going to let this take this away.
Hitting a woman, and then there's being accused of hitting a woman so hard that she fell onto a futon full of automatic rifles. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Look, Greg Hardy. This is an MMA podcast. This isn't a What Josh Cares About podcast. This is an MMA podcast. If it was a What Josh Cared About podcast, we would only talk about Bournemouth. That's weird. But this is an MMA podcast. So Greg Hardy comes out, honestly, in the first round, but looking great. Much improved. Finally, starting to piece together, finally starting to look like Dean Thomas is his actual coach and not just some guy that walks out with him, you know? Finally looking like he's paying attention to what this sport is about. And Marcin Tybura, I've got to be honest, in this first round, what is this? I didn't understand this at all. Like, he did it a few times and then threw a counter hook. And I'm like, that would have been easier and better, surely. Like, I don't.
His strike, it's weird because I've seen Marcin Tybura strike and look a lot better than that. He didn't have a great first round. I don't know if he says this. I think fighters, whenever you ask a fighter about their strategy after they've won the fight, they're always going to make it sound like everything was measured. And of course, when he won that fight, what he says is, well, you know, me and my coach, we talked about it. We just wanted to stay very patient, just kind of defend mainly, let him get a little tired. It's like, maybe, but his striking looked poor. And Greg Hardy looked very crisp. But you can't be a professional fighter if you can't go for 15 rounds. And for 15 minutes. And I'm really sorry, but that was not. Well, Greg Hardy looked good, and while it is at heavyweight, I wouldn't say that was a particularly fast-paced first round.
I don't know. I think your take on this is going to be that once he gets him down, he's tired. I don't think Greg Hardy got tired. I don't understand why he is as bad on the ground as he is. But the truth is, the first round, Marcin Tybura can't even think about attempting a takedown because Greg Hardy's just putting it on him. But in the second round, he managed to get that opportunity. He gets Greg Hardy down to the ground, passes to half guard, and suddenly Greg Hardy is a dead fish. Out of water. Can't do anything. It's almost embarrassing. Marcin Tybura pounds him out in the most difficult ground and pound that I may have watched, just because you're looking at a guy that has so many options, just doesn't understand that maybe he should just move. And instead, just kind of covers up while he's in half guard, defenseless. It was very satisfying. I enjoyed it a lot. How did you feel?
I thought that.
I loved it too.
I think it's partly to do with the fact that he got tired. And he shouldn't have got tired because they weren't fighting at a fast pace. Once he's taken down, there's a real I'm fucked and I'm giving up mentality. I think if you were going to ask yourself, did I look at a guy that I feel has got a real fighter in him or a fighter's mentality? No. And that's a problem because I think there are three. In reality, you need to have at least 2 out of 3 core components if you're going to be a fighter. You need to either, be a serious athlete, have a lifetime of acquired martial arts skill, and you need to have a dog in you, a real fighter's dog. And I think you can get away and be a good fighter and have 2 of those things.
Absolutely.
But if you only have 1 of those things, you're screwed. Absolutely screwed. And I'd say actually 4 things. Cardio as well. I think cardio is the thing that you can't be a fighter without. Whatever your pace is, you have to be able to do it for the entire length of the full fight. No matter what.
You might think you can beat anyone because of how good you are, but then Michael Bisping turns up. Cardio is a factor.
It's not just that. It's Chael Sonnen has a great expression when he talks about this. He says an athlete's worst fear is not losing. It's getting so exhausted that they can't finish.
Yeah. Even as an amateur athlete / hobbyist, that's the only thing I've ever cared about.
So right now, if you're Greg Hardy, you're a natural athlete. You've got size and power and all of those things.
And asthma.
You don't have cardio. You don't have a dog inside of you. And you don't have a lifetime of martial arts training.
He's sweating so much in the second round that it looks like someone's put cling film on him.
Yeah, he's just fucking glistening.
It was insane.
Yeah. Marcin Tybura is not exactly a low percentage body fat heavyweight. And he wasn't sweating that much.
Marcin Tiberia's belly can't even move the same direction as his hip and shoulders at the same time because of how fat he is. It's just not physically possible. It's got that Roy Nelson thing going on.
Yeah. Not good.
Look, there's not really much more to say about this fight, and we really need to
move on. Anthony Pettis, very quickly.
Look,
he looked good. First round wasn't great.
First round was what it was. You got to deal with it. Comes back, smashes it. Look, here's one thing: 4 hours contract. If he resigns, he wants to go back to lightweight. I don't really know how he's going to fit into that picture, and I'm going to stop burping soon. But his brother Sergio is in Bellator. I think he get a lot of love at lightweight and welterweight in Bellator. But more interestingly, what if he was going to fight at lightweight in ONE FC, because ONE FC bumped the divisions up one, so lightweight is 170. All the welterweights that are oversized would have been bumped up to middleweight. So he's kind of got
the best of both worlds.
Yeah, he doesn't have to cut weight, and he gets to fight guys his size. It's just sort of the perfect scenario. It's a premier fight organization. There's money to be made at the end of his career here. He'd be a big marquee signing, so he'd get big dollars. It's just I would love to see that. That may be PFL, but ultimately I think he resigns. If not, it would be Bellator. I just don't really know where he's going to fit into the lightweight picture though.
Bellator, I think, would be an interesting one. I think he's young enough to not feel like they're taking an old has-been vet, even if he is slightly past his best years. I think ONE FC, even though obviously they don't have to move or live out there or anything, I think it's just very far away and disconnected. I think maybe that's a factor that puts particularly a lot of the American fighters off.
It is a lot of money to fight at your best, though. For
Yeah.
a guy like Pettis, because 165 doesn't exist in the UFC or Bellator or anywhere else, for a guy like Pettis, it's the best fit, as I see it, in terms of money, opportunity, risk reward, and being able to just fight at your ultimate potential. It just makes sense. It's just a winner.
I get you. Wherever he goes, I don't think it's going to be in the UFC, but hey, listen, he goes out on a win streak. Good for him.
Yeah.
Moreno, we talked about this last week. If he won, it was going to be a big step up. If not, it was you just weren't quite ready.
Yeah, and he had a great first round, and he did well not to get finished at the end of the third. So,
we'll see more of him.
Yeah, this is a guy that's been in the UFC for a very long time, and you don't know who he is.
Yeah.
He makes a career out flying under the radar. I would love it if he changed his trajectory. I just don't see it happening.
I think that wraps us up on Pettis and wraps up his UFC career. And let's just say, great career. WC champ, UFC champ. He had his moments. He just couldn't quite replicate it after he lost the belt.
Talks about nicknames. That is one Showtime.
100%.
He was the kick card around the world.
Never the same after the RDA fight, really.
No, yeah, he had flashes, but that definitely changed his fortunes. So Pannie Kianzad against Jara Eubanks.
Yeah, this was a good fight.
We
both picked
Sarge.
Yeah.
This is a classic striker grappler, but I don't know. Pannie she's a fucking beast, man. Really excited to see how she continues at bantamweight, to be honest. Yeah. Just bantamweight is a division that I feel like kind of got cleared out when the UFC expanded into other weight classes. Well, it's great to see some more talent coming in, but Sarge, these guys are both ranked top 15. I don't feel like Sarge necessarily drops a lot here. Pannie definitely moves up. Sarge, she's got some more hurdles to overcome, but it's almost like a stationary situation for her.
Well, the problem with women's bantamweight is that a lot of girls in one flyweight, I think, is naturally going to become a more and more stacked division, just based on what the average height and weight of most female fighters are, what the talent pool is, what women can cut down to. And I think the major thing that's putting a lot of girls off staying in bantamweight is bantamweight's a fairly shallow division with about 3 or 4 athletic freaks who can sit at the top.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we don't give her a lot of credit, but not just Amanda Nunes, who's an athletic freak herself, but Holly Holm at 38 years old. There is no fat on that woman. She is about as
I'm a big Holly Holm
and
fan. I
shredded
love Holly Holm.
as you can get. I mean,
It always comes to fight.
yeah, you see her
Beast.
workouts in the gyms and the amount of things that she can do holding her body weight. I mean, you know, when you're dealing, and she's what, like 5'11", 6 foot something. She's tall.
Yeah. And if you think about the scariest women in MMA, the absolute legends of MMA, remember this: Holly Holm has run them close. All of them. All of them.
Beat a couple on a day.
Yeah. I would say beat Jermaine Durandame. I'm not even talking about taking the points off for the late shots. I feel like she won that fight.
It's a close fight, and Durandame is no joke. And also, she's doing that as arguably in the top 5 greatest female boxers of all time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, come on, what are
Yeah.
we doing here? And I think it's having freaks like that. If you can cut down to 125, you look at Nunes and just think I think Shevchenko is just as dangerous as Nunes. But I think
Shevchenko has run Nunes close twice.
But I think you look at Shevchenko and think in terms of size and physicality, I think that there's a way. I think right now when you look at Nunes, it's like if you want the belt, 135 is not the place to be.
At the same time, though, I'd say pound for pound, Shevchenko is a better fighter.
I think she's a more technical fighter.
I would say if her and Nunes were the same size, Shevchenko wins those fights. Never mind the power. Never mind the power Nunes has got.
Fight styles. Nunes would still hit harder even if she weighed 10 pounds less.
Yeah, never mind the punching power. I'm just talking.
It's hard to say that because I also think that Nunes has improved more as champion since that fight than Shevchenko has.
It's hard to say. I think to some extent the fights flatter her. But, you know what I mean? You can't take that away from her. The legacy is what it is. But Shevchenko, you've got more rounds on her. You get to see more of her. I just feel like she's just a better fighter. If they were the same size.
Pure martial artist, I'd agree with you. But I think that there's a real wrestling advantage. So the Jennifer Maia fight, we saw that you can control Shevchenko in top position. And that's something that Nunes has shown an ability to go to if the striking is not working out.
Yeah, but it's not easy to get that position.
It's not. But how did she win the second fight? It's 2-2 going into the last round. She takes her down.
But if they're the same size,
she still gets the takedown.
No. But if they're the same size, does everything else play out that way? Does she stay down as long as she stays down? It's hard. It's intricate.
But then again, if they're the same size, then Nunes is that fraction quicker herself. All right. She's a little bit smaller, so she doesn't have the little Shevchenko who's got excellent counter-striking movement getting inside of her as easily. It changes every factor. Nunes' size is part of what makes her dangerous.
All right. It's 9 o'clock. We've got 4 to go.
We're going to quickly breeze through these.
This one's easy.
This one's easy. Gillian Robertson is one of my favorite fighters in flyweight.
No, we already done that one.
And she got destroyed by Taylor Santos.
We've done that one.
We didn't. Not on this.
Oh, shit. Did we not?
No. We talked about it, but not on this. She got destroyed in every position.
No. You have. You've skipped one.
I have?
Yeah. All right.
We can go back to it.
So, Deron Wynn, Antonio Hoya.
Okay, I was just...
So, Deron Wynn took Antonio Hoya down.
A lot.
Yeah, so that happened. And then that really was the fight.
And then
Deron Wynn...
He took him.
Needs to run his ass down to welterweight.
Now, what happened is Deron Wynn took him down. They both got tired at the same time. It just so happened that they got tired with Deron Wynn lying on top of Hoya. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, Deron Wynn has an amazing double leg in middleweight. He's 5'6". All right. If you weigh that much and you're the height of a gnome, you can take anyone down. Deron Wynn is not going to win a belt doing that. Deron Wynn's not going to crack the top 15 doing that.
He's not going to win 2 fights in a row doing that.
Yeah, Deron Wynn needs to go all the way down. This was at 190, not even a middleweight, 190. He needs to come down to 170 and have a goddamn career.
Not everyone's DC.
No, and just because DC is like your best mate, you're not DC.
Doesn't mean you can look like him. Gillian Robertson got destroyed by Taylor Santos in every position. We thought she was going to win the fight. Out-muscled, out-strength, just bullied her for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, it was two kind of lay and pray performances in a row. Taylor Santos would just kind of get on top and really not threaten much else from that. Not the most exciting fight. I'm glad that we don't have much time left because we're just going to blitz through these two fights entirely. Yeah. Again, we both picked Gillian Robertson on this one.
Yeah, so it wasn't good for the picks.
She's taken some, she's lost some of her hype, I guess. And Santos, she's only lost one fight against the girl that has only won one fight in the UFC. It wasn't exciting. I don't know how excited I am to follow with these two girls after this. Gillian Robertson has flashed some talent before. Maybe she bounces back. Santos really has to start putting it together. Has a lot of talent.
Loads of talent. She'll be dangerous. Watch out for her.
Yeah. No time. Tom's fault. Move on. Oh.
This is all you. Take away on Chukwe. Give me your Chukwe takeaway.
Okay, so Chukwe against Jamie Pickett. 2 Contender Series alum. Pickett actually had to have 3 bites of the apple to get a contract off of Contender Series, but this was a good fight. I like this fight. Chukwe,
best fight of the prelims.
Yeah, Chukwe comes out as a middleweight, fighting as a guy that hits like Ngannou in combos like Cerrone. He loves throwing the high kick at the end of his combos, just constantly pushing forward, constantly throwing in combinations, constantly putting out output. It might not be slick or agile or technical, but so powerful, so determined. And the guy, just his work rate throughout the fight, his determination throughout the fight. I just think if you can teach this guy to stretch a little more, condition himself a little more, you have a real beast on your hands. I really fucking enjoyed his performance. This guy just went for it.
Jamie Pickett did well to last through.
Jamie Pickett did not look shit at all. Jamie Pickett put in a great performance. He was as patient as he could be. When he could tag him, he did tag him. And it was unfortunate that the fight slipped away from him. But he was fighting a guy that was really putting in one of the best nights that he's ever put in Chukwe. Just, there wasn't much Pickett could do on this night. Yeah. Unless he could snatch some viral highlight reel knockout out of nowhere. Wasn't going to go his way. It was a great fucking fight.
Really was.
It's a great fight.
Good win from Chukwe. Let's see what happens with him next. Next up, Jimmy Flick. Definitely submission of the night because it was the only submission of the night against Durden.
Durden came out hot and heavy. Durden looked fucking good. And Durden was winning this fight. Was winning the first round at least in a big way until Jimmy Flick throws up a head kick that he blocks. And I didn't realize
flying triangle.
Yeah. When you block a head kick, you don't think, got to be careful that this isn't like the last thing I do. I don't think I'm stepping into checkmate right now. I'm just going to not get knocked out by that head kick. And then what the fuck? Flying triangle. Yeah. Wow. Jimmy Flick had the record for the most submission attempts in a Contender Series fight with 7 submission attempts, which I had in my notes, which I realized I drunkenly deleted while I was trying to read them. Let's just edit that bit. Throughout the most submission attempts in a Contender Series fight with 7. Pulls off a flying triangle. I'm not gonna lie, Jimmy the Brick Flick. I'm gonna remember that name. I'm very excited to see this guy fight again.
He's awesome, and I'm excited to be honest. I think Durden's got potential as well. We haven't seen the last of him. He was looking good.
it was a really strong performance from Durden until he got caught in not submission of the year, but in like top 5 for sure. Like, it was crazy.
It's the same thing with like Tsangane. He was on the wrong end of the knockout of the year.
Yeah.
You know, very promising fighter.
Yeah.
You can't blame him for not predicting a wild man stunt in that situation.
Yeah. When lightning strikes, it's not your fault that you were stood under the tree when it comes out of nowhere, you know?
Yeah.
Like.
But no, fantastic performance. And yeah, we already touched on it, but we touched again. Giagos against Minus. Neither guy looked great. Neither guy looked great coming into the fight. Neither guy looked particularly good during the fight.
Giagos on short notice, I don't know.
You're giving him more credit.
I'd like to see what he can do with a full fight camp under his belt.
Okay. I'll see what he does next, but I'm not sold yet. Right, we kind of sped through the end of it there. Tom's fault.
This is our longest, drunkest, and second most stoned podcast, and that was Tom's fault.
It's always Tom's fault. But it's okay because I'm going to work some editing and it's going to seem tight and crisp.
I think it's going to be a 15-minute episode. Again, thank you to our sponsors, Just Ads, Not Drugs.
Yeah. Just a side note, we could actually probably just make a 15-minute episode. Somebody's signing into my Netflix. We could just make a 15-minute
You get those
episode.
notifications? Because me and Kate use your Netflix account for like 7 months.
You have?
No, we don't anymore. We used to.
Oh.
And do you know what?
How did that happen?
Well, we had a Netflix account, but you had logged into ours and we'd accidentally been using it for like a week.
Oh,
but then
shit.
Everything that we were halfway through was on your account. So we didn't want to log into our account because everything we wanted to watch was on your account.
Okay.
Because you got like 4 accounts on your account. Yeah. Like 4 profiles.
Yeah.
So we just when you let me use your password,
I can't even remember this.
We deliberately picked a profile that we assumed wasn't getting used, but it didn't look like it'd been used.
Which one did you go for? Huge Eugene or Jetkin Silver?
That one, yeah, Jack is the dumb sounding one.
Yeah. That's my friend Fifi, who at several points since has asked me if she can use her Netflix account completely forgetting she's already got the password and like her own sign-in and stuff like that.
Well, she's going to have to contend with all the recommendations from me and Kate built up, which is some pretty fucked up dark shit. But
I'm watching the Yorkshire Ripper on my flight. So I'm going to download it tonight, assuming my internet's back at home. Right, and that's me. I've got to shoot back before I miss the curfew. I can't get food. Peace.
Fuck you, Tom.
Tune in next week where we're going to be doing our general discussion about the year as a whole, knockouts of the year, performance of the year, fighter of the year, walkouts, greatest and worst walkouts of all time. And as it's been teased earlier in the episode, we will be giving the full breakdown and preview of our upcoming rematch of our epic first fight.
We hope to have Elliot.
The story of the first
time.
fight. Whether he's dead or alive, we're going to have Tom. And that's me out. Guys, if anyone's listening, thank you, because this was a weird one. You stuck with us.
I'm going to stick around for a while. Wait, what's happening?
Well, of course you're going to stick around. You live here.
Well, I thought if I cut there, it would be like funny.
Oh, man. I'm just going to leave on this because I think it's really immature but funny.